Lock the place up tight. I don't want any surprises till I get there in the morning.
6 guys lift 1 stiff. That's one for the books.
Help! I'm trapped. Help me!
Since the authorities haven't been able to produce a body, do you think Michael's alive or dead?
Will he kill again?
Let me make things clear. Michael Myers is dead. D-E-A-D.
So, how are you feeling?
My nightmares are chewing at my head again. They just seem to be getting worse.
I've had 4 calls about Michael Myers today, all in the space of 10 minutes.
Are you a giant? I know he's not gonna come back just because of some stupid holiday.
I need you to call 911. We're in 15 Cherry. Maya, what's happening?
Nurse.
Evil is here.
I'm not me.
Who are you then?
I'm Michael Myers' sister.
What's gonna do?
No one's coming.
It's going to be all right. It's going to be fine.
No,
Listen.
it's not.
What is up, everybody? It's time for Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. This is going to be a lot of fun. We are doing a commentary on this very, very, very debated, controversial movie. I think it's developing a cult following. Let me know if you can hear me before I really get going, because I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Let me go up here and see what we got. Okay, that quality looks really bad. Hopefully it doesn't look that bad on your end. What's up, everybody? It's so nice to see your beautiful faces. Going down the list here, wow, the chat is a rolling. So, can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me. That Halloween is lit has confirmed it. So, anyway, this is going to be real fun. We're going to be doing the theatrical version of the movie. I actually have mine up right now. And let me close this. Leela, what's up? It's nice to see you in here. Deekster Bogard. John, man, I can't keep up. The chat is just flying. Katie Barnes, what's up? How are you doing? Gamer, Preston Parsons, awesome, cool guy. Nice. Nice to see all you guys in here. We're going to enjoy. Let me know if you guys actually have the movie. Are you going to be watching this with me? Or are you just going to be like listening to me talk about the movie? I hope you're watching it with me. So, but I'm going to move my chat over here so that way I can interact with you guys. And I'm going to close this now. Yeah, I prefer the theatrical cut. There are certain scenes in the director's cut that I do like in there, but overall it's a much lesser version of the movie, if you ask me. So yeah, Lori's got hers loaded and ready. Michael R. Santa of the Sea game. Chris Snyder. Hey Chris, I just answered you on Facebook. Yeah, glad to see you in here. So it's gonna be a lot of fun though. I'm still holding this. I don't know why. Okay. Let me get this thing. 123 watching. Thank you so much, everybody. That's freaking awesome. Troy, Low Carb Monster, what's up, brother? How you doing? I tell you, you guys just fill my heart with joy. We're going to be talking about a movie that I happen to be passionate about. And some of you think this movie is complete garbage. And that is the reason I wanted to do this commentary. Also, it's 2 days from Halloween. So I wanted to do something special just to hang out with you guys for Halloween. And this is going to be awesome. And also, before we get into this, tomorrow I'm going to be dropping, or hopefully tomorrow, maybe the next, maybe on Halloween, I'm going to be dropping top 10 things the Halloween franchise gets right. I've been editing that thing for like the last week now, and I'm sick of it. I want to get it out to you guys so you can finally see it. But yeah, anyway, Dexter Bogard says, got the new theatrical cut. I'll be watching the director's cut. Okay, if you want to watch the director's cut, that's fine. Keep in mind the ending is like, I wouldn't say completely different because it still takes place in the barn, but the final ending is different. So, this is the Alliance release. You can get this off of eBay. You can get this off of FYE. If you have an FYE near you, they tend to have these in the bins. But this has both theatrical versions of Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. So, anyway, let's get on. Let's get it on, guys. Let's get it on. All right, hold on. Let me see. All right, so if I push to the right, okay, it's going to go to the main menu. We're going to the main menu now. And I'm going to adjust my chair so we can all... I tell you, one thing I do love about the Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, is the poster. I think it's one of the best posters in the franchise, if you ask me. It's just... I remember going to the theater, and you know when you go to the theater, you see those coming attractions. And I remember back in 2009 seeing that poster and being like, wow, that is a badass poster. You got Myers in the cornfield. He's like holding the top of a victim's head, their hair, with the knife up. It's iconic. I mean, let me know if this is your like favorite Halloween poster. Okay? So, I'm going to play the film. So, I'm going to count down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, play. And we are off. I have Levi right over here. Somebody demanded that I bring Levi to this thing, so I guess it wouldn't be a commentary without Levi. How are you guys doing today? Okay, White Horse, linked to instinct, purity, and the drive of physical body to release powerful and emotional forces like rage with ensuing chaos and destruction. Right away, Zombie is telling you that there's going to be some symbolism in this movie. And symbolism in the form of a white horse. Which is probably one of the biggest gripes I hear about this movie. It's not my favorite thing about the movie, but this is Zombie's story, and he wanted to put some symbolism in there. And I don't think he played the white horse wrong. I think it fit into the story that he wanted to tell. Here you got... Already we're kind of thrown off guard because young Michael Myers is played by a different actor. And let me turn mine up a little bit so I can hear this. Just a little bit. Yep, and we see Deborah Myers. I remember in my Rob Zombie's Halloween Revisited, I called her Angel Myers. Angel was actually Scout Taylor Compton. Happens all the time when you're reviewing a movie, though. You get into the flow, and then... Dead Jester Circus, what's up, brother? Nice to see you in here. The poster is one of the best in the franchise. Wish I could say the same about the movie. Yeah, Dead Jester Circus, he's here to represent you guys that hate this movie. Okay? Okay. This scene right here, we see Laurie. This is the aftermath of Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. And this is Covington, Georgia. I like this shot right through the pumpkin, which is really cool. You see the rain. Now, Rob Zombie behind the scenes said it rained constantly on this shoot. And eventually they just had to work their way around it because you got to get the job done. And throughout this commentary, we're going to talk more about the hurdles of this shoot that I know of anyway, concerning Rob Zombie. But this is definitely one of them. The rain was just constant. But, I mean, this definitely has that fall feel. I mean, you see the leaves all over the ground and everything. But it doesn't really look like Haddonfield that much. And keep in mind, they shot... Blu-ray Dan, I love you too, brother. Keep in mind, they shot the first movie in Pasadena, California. So, aesthetically, this movie looks a lot different because it was shot in Covington, Georgia. I do love that this picks up right where the last one left off. Just like the original Halloween 2. Wood Shane thinks this sucked. By the end of this, he's probably still going to think this movie sucks. But that's okay. So anyway, we got Sheriff Brackett. He's talking to Laurie Strode. Laurie, I'm telling you, as far as like makeup artists and set dressing and you know, costumes, they really got Scout Taylor Compton looking like she has been through the ringer. Like she's been through hell. I mean, wow, she has been through hell. Caroline Williams. Yeah. One thing you know about Rob Zombie, he loves putting horror alumni, especially like 70s and 80s horror alumni in his movies. I like that. I do. I love that. A, it gives them work, and B, it's just so cool to see those actors that we grew up watching in the 70s and 80s. So, let me turn this off so that way I can see you guys. Thank you, Katie. I appreciate that. All right, so some need Niran. Man, I always say your last name wrong. Nirankari. This movie is awesome. He's one of the guys like me that loves the movie. Okay. One thing about Rob Zombie, I tell you, he had a vision for this movie. The first movie feels like it's thrown together. It really does. It doesn't feel. It feels more like a hodgepodge. You know, the first half he's trying to tell the backstory of Michael Myers. Really, the first half is what he wanted to shoot as one movie, and then the second half of the movie feels like John Carpenter's Halloween, but kind of thrown together. You know, like the abridged version of it. I guess the Cliff Notes version of it. So a lot of potential in the John Carpenter version of the movie, I think. And I think, looking back, he probably should have done two movies. First movie being the backstory, second movie being, the John Carpenter authentic remake. And I'm going to try to skim your comments too. But it's hard for me to constantly look at the comments and look at the screen. So if I'm constantly looking away, I'm not ignoring you guys, okay? I love you very much. Okay. Hobo Myers totally makes sense. He does make sense because this is Rob Zombie's vision. And we'll get into that. We'll definitely get into that. We haven't seen Hobo Myers yet. Jason, Sinister Cinema Reviews. What's up, brother? Nice to see you on here. Jason was actually going to join me on this thing. And time got in the way. If you want to still join, I can definitely get you in here. So if you guys hold on, I tell you what, I'll pause the movie for a sec and we'll see if we can get Jason in here. Okay? So just bear with me. So, because I definitely want to talk about this scene that's coming up, but as a special treat, I'm going to get Jason from Sinister Cinema Reviews in here because he's got some thoughts about this movie too. So hold on just a second. So I'm going to switch this over. Okay, guys, just bear with me, okay? Bear with me. I'm going to open up my Skype. I'm going to get Jason on. Get you a drink. Talk amongst yourselves. Skype, okay. I'm calling Jason now. Levi is scratching. Jason.
Yes, sir.
There he is. What's up, brother?
Trying to say, hold on.
I've never
trying to
caught
see if I
anybody
can make
live
this
during a
work.
stream before.
Oh, well, it's the first, man. I'm a first kind of guy. Let's see.
Hold on.
I'm trying to set this up where I actually have movies behind me and not like my garage. And I'm trying to see if I can make this mic work.
Okay.
Where I can
I'll
just
tell you what,
walk
you
right
get
in.
your mic going, and I'll get you boxed in my OBS, okay?
All right. Oh, so you're paused on them?
Can I pause on them?
I don't know.
I don't
On my
think so.
video, it just sent us a picture of Michael Myers mask.
Yeah, I changed the screen, but we're still live. So,
Oh, so they can hear us.
yeah, they can definitely hear us. Okay.
Gotcha.
So, let me go.
So I shouldn't start blasting people. I saw that bitch in the room.
So I'm going to switch it over to the commentary, and you guys get to see an OBS lesson, I guess, in real time. Make that smaller. Make that smaller.
I don't know if I gave you some of my people or if I took some of your people, but I've got a lot of familiar names.
Yeah, well, it's the horror community. We're a pretty small community.
We are.
So let me. Now I'm gonna go over here. Oh, I know what I can do. I can copy that because you can copy in OBS. Paste, duplicate. There we go.
That mic should work. Is this sound? Is it coming from here or no?
I can hear you. I can definitely hear you.
No, but is it coming? Do you hear me tapping?
Tapping?
Yeah, on my mic. You see me tapping on my mic?
Do it again.
I'm guessing.
No, I don't.
Okay, so then that means it's not coming through.
So you just got to change your sound setting, I think.
Let me adjust that, and then we should have done this. I didn't realize. I thought this was just something that I could.
Oh, there we go. Let me see if I can.
There, I think.
I think that should work better.
Yeah. Now I definitely hear you.
That's all right.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so I got you in there. Now I'm gonna go here, guys. If you've ever used OBS, it's a pain in the butt. Let me see. Hold on. Now, do you have your copy of
This
Rob
is
Zombie's
my fault,
Halloween 2 at the
everybody.
ready?
No, I didn't know we were supposed to be watching. I thought we were just talking about the damn movie.
No, we're actually watching it.
I can go along with you.
Okay,
I'm fine.
that's cool.
Tell me where it's at. That's funny. I just thought you said you're having you're doing a live commentary.
Yeah.
I see. How fun.
That's all. I'll tell you what scenes are on, and then we can discuss.
Well, that's what you're going to be telling the people anyway. So.
Yeah.
Bounds. I guess I could man this. I mean, my voice is good enough. People, I'm sexy, but
Yeah, you sound really sexy right now. So. Ooh, that's weird. Hold on. There we go. Hey, I think we got you in there. Yeah. Let me kick you down.
over your face right now, I think. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Do you see yourself on there now?
No, put me back over your face, man. I like that.
Here, I'll put you over my face. Hold on. There you go. Oh, actually, you just went behind me. There you go. Okay, cool.
Okay. Anyway, I can man the comments if there's anything that comes in that's interesting.
You know what? This gives me an opportunity to open my my drink, guys. We're back in action. I'm gonna now, Jason. we are at the part where the coroners, they have the van, and they're taking Myers.
Right. Richard Brake is about to go.
Yeah, he's about to go.
They're about to make the jam joke.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Jam.
I'm hitting play, everybody. If you're watching and you had it paused, you hit play in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay. All right, so we got the really disgusting joke.
I got an echo, supposedly.
Oh, echo. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I know what that is. Hold on. I can fix that. Yeah. Boom. Okay. Your echo should be gone in about 20 seconds if the delay's...
Oh,
right.
It's a delayed echo?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so... All right, so yeah. We're on this scene. Richard Brake, they got a close-up of his mouth, which is very uncomfortable. And he's kind of a disgusting guy, you know. He's got opinions on his joke and takes it a little bit too far, right? Let me know in the chat if you guys hear us fine. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if my echo's still there.
Well, it should be. No, it's better now. It just dropped.
Okay,
now
good.
you might want to mute your YouTube on your. I don't know if you have to do that.
I did.
Not. Okay, cool. So you should be good to go. So now I remember, and Jason, I don't know if you remember in the behind the scenes, if you've listened to the audio commentary, but they just hit the cow. Yeah, cow. But Rob Zombie stated that he had to refilm this whole scene, this whole sequence, because I guess the footage was broken or was lost or something. Have you ever heard that rumor? I guess it's not a rumor. He said it. Yeah.
He said, yeah. No, I never heard that.
Yeah. He said he actually had to go back and reshoot this whole scene because I guess the footage... And I was talking earlier about how it rained constantly in Georgia, and that might have had something to do with it. Like the footage just got, weathered. So, I don't know. But while we're on this, Jason, give me your overall opinion on Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I believe you like it, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 40-minute or so long Slasher Sunday. I know you watched that.
I did.
Yeah. No, I think it's fantastic. I think the biggest problem people have with it would be the white horse thing, which I agree with them on. I think it's silly.
Yep.
That was just a way to inject his wife into the movie. But I always defend this movie as not only being a great slasher, but being Rob Zombie's thing. And I think where people struggle is they talk about it like it's a sequel to Carpenter's movie. And that's where I'm like, that it's not a sequel to Carpenter's movie. It's a sequel to his movie. And so, Carpenter did his movie, and then they went off and they did their sequel, and his sequel was like, this is my universe. And he gave an homage by doing this dreamlike opening where it's set in a hospital. But, once you get away from that, then it's all zombie. Then it's nothing like any other Halloween film, which is exactly what it should have been.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said all zombie, because that's really, like Rob Zombie, I was talking earlier about the first movie, it feels like a hodgepodge. It feels like it's trying to be, because it's more of a remake, like a straight up remake in the second half, whereas this movie right here, it's just like start to finish, completely new vision, and all the way down to like every aspect of filmmaking, this movie is very different. So I always tell people, when I look at this movie, I don't really look at it as like a Halloween movie. I see it as like what a trauma victim goes through after they've been through pretty much hell, which is what Laurie Strode went through in the movie before this.
I try to tell people to, watch it as Rob Zombie's slasher movie.
Yeah.
Like if Rob Zombie would have made a slasher movie and he would have used a different mask, no one would even have really connected this to Halloween in any way.
Yeah, and because I think it would be a lot more accepted.
100%. 100%. It's just because it's the Halloween franchise to me that it's as hate as it is. The white horse thing is very off-putting.
And I will say that. I remember, it's like you timed it perfectly because Myers is literally walking up to the white horse right now.
it's, it's something. I don't see it any other way than he was just trying to get his wife in the movie, and he wanted her to have a prominent role as opposed to just throwing her in flashbacks.
Well, if I had to like theorize a little bit, I think the white horse is like a symbol that we are not in reality, or I guess in Myers' head we're not in reality. And if you want to go even further, I don't know if you've heard this, but I've heard rumors, or not rumors, but theories that Laurie Strode, this whole movie, now this is just a fan theory, of course, this whole movie is in her head.
Is in her head.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go down that route, I feel like that argument's made for every movie.
Yeah.
If you've ever really watched anyone that wants to go out on the ledge and give theories out there, they always go down the road of like, or it could just all be in their head. It just seems to be the connected theory for every freaking, film that doesn't have a proper explanation, or even films that do. I've seen where, God, there was a movie I was just watching a review on just the other day where someone said this, and I was just like, no, it was The Descent.
Yeah.
And I was like, not even close. They were like, oh, well, they think it's the main character just killed everyone. And I'm like, no, the movie does not play out like that. You can't just throw that theory like that. You'd have to have actual like substantive arguments. Like, okay, so in this part in the movie, this happens, but what could have happened is this, and we're seeing it through her lens. And it's like she wasn't around for most of their deaths. She was in a completely different area with totally different people.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just throw that
come up with
theory
that
out there.
Right.
I've
never even heard that theory.
Accepted theory. Yeah. I've seen it, and then I went in to look for it, and I've actually seen people making them. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
But what you were saying earlier about the white horse thing with Michael, where I start to see the differences is because Laurie in the director's cut, I don't remember if it's in the theatrical because I haven't watched the theatrical in a while, but at the end she starts to see the white horse and the mom and the kid. Even more so in the theatrical. It's a shared delusion.
And if you really want to go down that rabbit hole of her committing all the crimes and Myers was in her head, you could connect those dots a little bit better in the theatrical cut because of the ending of the theatrical cut when she comes out with the Myers mask on her head.
Right. So, was Michael seeing anything pre-Halloween 2, pre-getting shot in the head? Because you got to think, was it him getting shot in the head and some kind of break that he got to see his mom at that point? Or was he seeing his mom supposedly before that and we just never saw that in the first movie? Because it's not like... Go ahead.
I don't think Zombie really gives you those answers. And I wonder if Zombie even had that in his mind of...
I don't think
the audience might... if I film this way, maybe the audience might theorize that, I don't know. Half of me thinks he did, and half of me thinks it was just an accident. I don't know. Or maybe he's just trying to be a lot more ambiguous with this movie than he was with the previous movie.
Yeah. I think he meant to try to say something.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of came off really pretentious. It was like,
thank you,
trying to be artsy.
Angie Garcia, by the way. And also, this scene we're on right now, I love. This is Myers over Octavia Spencer, and he's about to thrust the knife in her head. And this pretty much sets up like what we're dealing with Myers' character in this movie. He's even more graphic than he was in the previous movie.
Are you watching the extended?
No, the theatrical.
Directors?
I'm doing the theatrical cut.
What's really good about the director's cut versus the theatrical, if memory serves correctly, is in the director's cut, they have the scene where Laurie is like trying to crawl through a ton of bodies.
Yeah, that's in the director's cut.
And
I did mention earlier in this that I do like some of the scenes, some of the additions that are in the director's cut. The thing that kills it for me is the ending. Like, I hated the ending, but I love a lot of the scenes before, especially if you're trying to, portray Laurie Strode as this person that's just been through the most traumatic experience ever. A lot of those character building scenes that are in the director's cut really set that up a lot better. My God, Octavia Spencer just got the living shit killed out of her.
She literally.
Yeah. Maybe not literally, but I just watched Ma the other day, by the way. She's great in that.
Oh, Ma?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. That's about all I have to say about that movie.
You didn't like the I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
I think her performance is solid, yeah, but they went way, like, I
watched it after Countdown, okay? So.
Hey, I liked Countdown. I know you didn't. You didn't, right? You hated it.
I had issues. It was a fun time, but you could pick it apart like crazy.
Absolutely. So. It's a popcorn movie.
Now, if I go to the chat here real quick, I'll snag one of the comments here. Dead Jester Circus says the theatrical cut. There's a brief moment of Laurie going into Annie's hospital room. I liked that moment. Oh yeah, that is a good point. That's not in the theatrical cut.
What isn't?
To visit Annie.
Oh right. She goes to her room.
What did you think about the addition of Danielle Harris to Rob Zombie's world?
As far as her performance, or adding Annie to part 2 and having lived through the events of part 1?
Kind of all of the above, because I guess what I'm after here is,
I think that
she's like royalty in Halloween. So, are we glad that they brought her back, or do you think they should have cast a completely different actress?
No, I think it's great because she was snubbed in part 6.
Yeah,
for no real reason. I mean, you can assume it was a money thing.
Yeah.
But she claims pretty much otherwise. And I don't know what the truth is there, but they were just being cheap. I mean, if you're not going to bring back the original actress to portray this character that she made iconic when she wants to do it.
Yeah.
And she's probably not asking that much.
And she wasn't even like, she thought the movie was kind of shit and she still wanted to do it.
Sure. Because it's her role.
I agree. Supercell Chaser. He says he prefers Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 over Halloween 2018. I do agree with that now.
Me too. Yeah, you didn't before. But
I didn't before, but now I do.
Yeah.
I just love that it's just this singular vision. I love the 16 millimeter look of it. It's a movie that it's the opposite of what Halloween 2018 did for me. I loved it the first watch. Every time I watched it after, I found more problems.
It's gone
This
down.
one did the opposite. When I first watched it, I liked it. Every time I watched it again, and I've watched Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 probably 20 times now, I love it even more. Do you have that same experience?
No. I pretty much feel the same as I've always done on both. Where I should say, the first time I watched Zombies 2, I loved it.
Yeah.
But I'm not a traditionalist, and I think that that's where I'm able to kind of, distance myself from the norm. Is that I don't watch things with preconceived notions. I don't go into things like I'll have theories and I'll have quote unquote desires, but I don't attach myself to anything. So I don't walk into the theater being like, well, if they don't give me this, or if they change this, I'm going to be angry. It's all on context. It's all about how it's presented. And the way this is presented to me. Now, first and foremost, I'm a slasher fan.
Yeah.
Like, that's where my heart is.
Same here.
So when I was watching this movie, I'm like, this is one of the best slasher movies I've ever watched.
Thank you.
It's got everything I want from a slasher movie. It's got hot chicks. It's got brutal kills. It's got good music. It's got even
mystery.
It's got the most emotional performance in the entire series, in my opinion.
Oh, that performance of Brad Dourif when Annie dies is probably one of my favorite emotional scenes in a slasher movie.
Yeah. And Scout Taylor Compton when she comes in and she realizes. We'll get there though when that gets to that.
Yeah. Right now we're at the we're in that little shack. Funny little anecdote of that too is Rob Zombie said he wanted the shack to be something that they could easily chop down with an axe, and they built like Fort Knox. So when he comes there with the axe, he's like, there's no way that he could ever like break into this thing just because they did way too good of a job. So I guess that's a lesson in like filmmaking too. Like, know what your director's wanting, because a lot of times the carpenter could come out there and he's used to building what you see in the shack, but then in all actuality, he wanted it to be like weathered and old and be able to be beaten down. But this particular scene was actually filmed at a high school, not a hospital. And the reason I know that is because I actually visited the set of this movie.
This is the security booth?
What's that?
This is the security booth?
Yeah, in the security booth. The security guard just got the axe right in the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I really like about the extended cut version of those events is that it lets you in on the fact that she's having a nightmare before she wakes up.
Yeah.
With her climbing through those bodies. It's like, oh, she's dreaming. Because it's kind of a big fuck you at first. It's like, hey, by the way, the first maybe 10, 15 minutes of this movie didn't happen. Or did it? And that's where I'm really like confused, because I feel like when we see, oh man, this is what's so great about this movie, in the showcasing of the aftermath of events. That's something we just don't explore enough in slasher movies and horror movies, is seeing what happens to these people after the fact. And when Scout comes in, or Laurie Strode comes into the hospital, and they're picking shit out of her skin, and her body is mangled, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is like, the surgery is so realistic, and I've been in that position. I was in a horrible car wreck where they had to take road rash, pavement out of my leg and all that kind of stuff. It hits you and you're watching it, and it's like, man, this is a girl, because that end sequence is might be one of my favorite like final showdowns.
Yeah.
In horror, is in the first movie. That pays off, man. You want to talk about
it's
payoff.
big time payoff. Like, I've never seen
crazy.
like, usually in a last act in a slasher movie, it lasts for like so long. There's a few beats there. It just kept going on and on and on, but it was still, there was like an escalation to it all the way to the end when she's standing there at the balcony and he just like thrusts right through her.
Yeah.
It was intense.
It is intense. But yeah, I mean, it really showcases the aftermath of both the physical damage that she took and also the mental damage that she took.
And Zombie didn't hold back either on like the makeup and everything. I mean, and really that's what, because I had a cousin, he got hit by a car when we were teenagers. And I remember...
Your car?
Yeah. And I remember his mother was just like screaming, crying, and she said, David just got hit by a car. And so I got on my bike and I rode down there, and David looked like what Laurie Strode looked like in the beginning of this movie. He was covered head to toe in blood, and I only looked at him for like a second. I was just like, oh wow, and I like that realism that Zombie goes for in this. It's funny that you were in a car accident, because I was in a major car accident too. I had to have a catheter put into me. That sucked.
Me too.
Yeah, dude, that sucks so bad.
Me too.
Yeah, not fun at all. I was thrown from the vehicle and I woke up on the side of the road. Everything went black, and then I woke up, and my buddy he broke his back, and I had a fractured my lower vertebrae in my back was fractured, so that was a rough night. So I'm sure your accident was pretty rough too.
Mine was definitely very rough. One of my buddies had his arm torn off.
Oh my God.
And yeah, I remember we woke up. I was upside down. There was blood covering the ceiling, the roof, of the car. And I just heard screaming from the passenger next to me. It was all four of us in the car. And my buddy Dan Hennon, his arm had been detached at the elbow, but like it was still hanging on by the skin of his elbow.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So it was just dangling from the skin. And then I looked over, and my buddy who was up front, a piece of the car went through and took this whole part of his face and his head off.
Oh my God. That's just
like his whole face was gone. It was just insane, man. You wake up and, your buddy known forever, and he doesn't have a face.
That's insane.
It's just,
is he still alive?
Yeah, he lived. Weirdly, they were.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they couldn't believe they brought body bags to the scene because the car was so mangled and everything. They couldn't believe there was anybody left alive, but we all lived. He won
crazy.
He won $8.5 million from that accident.
Are you? Holy crap! Well, that's good. Jeez.
Yeah, it was Ford Firestone tires
Yeah.
incident of 2000s. Look it up.
Really?
There was an epidemic of it in the early 2000s. Anyways,
Jesus.
back to the movie.
Okay.
No real horror here. Come on.
Now,
I'm just saying.
I'm going to gloat here again, too, because we're at the house, the Brackett house, and Laurie is having, with the great Margot Kidder, they're having a session. That's one thing I did like about the director's cut is they explore those sessions a lot more. And, you know, getting right down to it, this is really one of the major reasons I love this movie. I've never seen a slasher movie deal with, you know, trauma like this movie does. And, I gave Scout Taylor Compton a really hard time in the first movie. You know, I thought she was one note. I thought she was annoying.
Was it the bagel thing, man? Was that where
that might have, it didn't help. And then, and at the end too, she keeps screaming the same thing. And I know in real life that's probably what would happen, but for cinematic value, you got to kind of give, But in this movie, she redeemed herself. I thought she was, especially in the director's cut. I thought she gave an amazing performance actually.
So I mean, I do a segment on my show every week called Slasher Sunday.
Oh yes, you do. I see it every Sunday. I look for it.
Yeah. So I cover slasher movies very often. It is my favorite subgenre. And having now done probably over 100 of them on the channel and having so much feedback in the comment sections, the thing that I feel like I see the most of, and one of the pieces of evidence I'll use towards why I think that this movie ultimately failed with audiences that went specifically for slashers, because that's who's there. Is fans of the Halloween franchise, which he broke some cardinal rules in the Halloween franchise that I personally don't hold sacred, but a lot of people do.
Don't look at this as a Halloween movie.
Right. And then, as a slasher, it also broke some cardinal rules with some slasher fans, and that is that they don't care about character development. They just want to see death, and they just want to see stupid teens doing things and then dying. And so when Zombie actually took this and tried to make it an actual film, to give it some substance, to try to give it some depth, to try to show you the mental side, the mental trauma of Laurie and of Annie. And that's why the ending hits so hard for me, is because she's pushing away the one person that can actually relate to her, the one person who actually survived that night with her. And then when she realizes it's too late.
Which I think is something that does happen.
Yeah.
We got a question in here. I'm trying to scroll up so I could find. Somebody asked us which mask did we like the best, or he stated that this is his favorite mask. What did you think about the mask in this movie being, torn from the last movie?
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I think I heard as I was just coming on, someone pointing out that they love that Hobo Myers makes sense. And absolutely. Now, I just did, I don't think you've even watched these, which is so shocking to me, but I just did a couple videos recently on Halloween where I talked about my top 10, this and that. And one of my questions or goofs in the franchise is the hermit who takes care of Michael in Halloween 5 for a year, which I think is one of the dumbest things in the entire franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. It makes zero sense in any way you fucking try to.
Why I didn't put him on my biggest mistakes video, I don't know, because that was retarded.
It's so stupid. Was he feeding him and changing his diaper? And
yeah. What did he do for the year?
What did he do for a year? Why wouldn't he turn him in? Why, it's
just one of the many what the fuck moments of Halloween 5. That's what we got to chalk it up to.
Many. So what would have made sense is Michael's just out there. And that's what I love about the original movie, is that when the movie ends and you hear Michael breathing and he could be anywhere, he's just out there.
Yeah.
And in reality, he would be homeless. He would be a drifter.
Yep.
He would just be walking the streets. And you can't 24/7, 365 wear a fucking mask up and down the street without getting some attention. But if you wear a hood and you grow out some big beard and you just
Yep.
walk around, people are just like, oh, there's a drifter. There's a
it's more
homeless.
realistic.
Like,
And I think it
it's so
fits
much
in.
more
It fits in with Zombie's vision on this movie. You know, I like that Hobo Myers it separates itself from the rest of the franchise. It's just something different, but to me, different in a way that works. Like, I think he looks visually interesting, and you get a little bit of both worlds, because the beginning of the movie he looks like traditional Myers, and then like the second half of the movie, he's Hobo Myers. Or does Hobo Myers even exist? It takes you back to that that theory.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. Jason says he does.
Because I'm assuming that they're saying that Laurie did the killings in the movie.
Yeah, they're stating that Laurie did the killings, and if you watch the theatrical cut,
So Laurie
you could come to
smashed
that
a
conclusion.
bouncer's face.
What's that?
Laurie stomped on a bouncer's face and smashed it in. Laurie, 5 foot nothing, 90 pounds, crushed a 6-foot-something dude's face. Come on. Come on. Logic is
Jeff Daniel Phillips. Just yeah.
Kick bricks, Dorothy.
Yeah. Oh, I don't buy it, but I do love movies that have those theories. You know, kind of like The Shining, I guess. You know, they leave you enough of a gray area to like, no, she couldn't do that, but what if she could? You know, what if there was some kind of, because Myers himself is like supernatural. So what if something was passed to Laurie and she did have a little bit of that supernatural? You know, it just brings up those questions like, what if? I don't believe it.
See, for me, and the biggest mistake of the original Halloween franchise was ever making Michael Myers supernatural. Giving him a supernatural aura or like a possibility is okay. Like, he got shot 6 times. How the fuck could he have possibly survived such a thing? He's not, 50 Cent. But
or Tupac.
You've got this guy out there who's just like, he's a man. And that's what I've always liked about Myers. When you take the supernatural element, I don't like that as much personally. But with zombies, I always saw Zombies' version as just a guy.
Yeah.
I don't ever see any evidence to support that he's supernatural in Zombies' version.
And by the way, we are on the scene in the barn, and the cinematography in this movie is just fucking gorgeous. And it makes me angry at Halloween 2018 even more, because that movie didn't have any of this type stuff. You know, I mean, it's just the backlighting, the muted colors. Because it doesn't look like a traditional Halloween movie where you got the blues, and the oranges. No, Zombie really made this his own thing, but he still made it beautiful in a way. You know?
Yeah,
it's like beautifully tragic and ugly. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah. I love this scene too, when you got the three people in the truck, and then just the way that scene's lit. You see Myers coming up. He throws the hood over, and
I love that he throws on the mask anytime he goes to kill.
Oh yeah,
like he's had enough.
I would have had a major problem if he didn't put on that mask when he goes for the kills.
See, I think this is a really important sequence too, because Michael isn't killing unless provoked outside of Haddonfield. And then when he encounters these people, there's that moment, and this kind of harkens back to the first one with Danny Trejo's character when it's like, I was good to you, Mikey, I was good to you, and he still kills him anyways. And it's like, when Michael is in rage mode, when he puts that mask on, there's no stopping him from doing what he's going to do. And so you got this girl in this movie who's defending him, who's like, don't beat him up, leave him alone, stop hitting him, stop hurting him, like, let's get out of here. She's trying to defend him, and he ends up fucking butchering her too. And I feel bad for the girl, because she's not trying to be mean to him. She's really trying to get these guys to stop. But when Mike is in his moment,
you're not getting in his way.
Gonna,
which kind of also
how good you are
reinforces that thing of the mask, the power of the mask. When he puts the mask on, it flips a switch. It's never stated. I mean, even Loomis never mentioned this type of stuff, but I think enough happens along the way that you kind of pick up the pieces and you realize, oh, something's happening when he puts on that mask, especially in zombies movies.
I'll say that I think that with Zombie, even though I think when Kid Myers is wearing the mask, it looks like a midget wearing a mask. It looks silly. It really looks silly. So that aside, I will say that kind of was a failure aesthetically. What I will say about it, on the contrary, though, kind of playing devil's advocate for the other side of it, is that I like that he gave the mask some kind of attachment to Michael. Something that would be drawn back to, that he hid in the floorboards and he could bring it back. And it wasn't just, something he stole from a hardware store. It was something attached to the murders from when he was a kid. And I think like that there was that attachment.
Let me ask you this. Like, when it was announced that Zombie was going to be remaking the Halloween series.
Oh, man, that was a trip.
It was a trip because with Zombie, there is like this fear. I don't know what it is. Like, he has a way of directing that kind of like antagonizes the audience. Like, he says "fuck you" to the audience, pretty much.
He does, but you got to remember when that was announced. That was announced right after the height of the love of Devil's Rejects.
Yes.
Like, this wasn't Zombie now. If they announced that now, people would fucking lose it.
Oh, yeah. Don't you dare touch Halloween. That's what they'd say.
Don't you effing touch this. No. When Devil's Rejects came out, man, it was this surprise smash with people. Especially with that, like, really, really fantastic Leonard Skinner ending. Everyone was just came out of the movie theater on a super high, like, holy shit, man, he's hit this new plateau. And so when they were coming off the heels of that was the perfect time for them to announce, like, hey, we got this new name in horror. He's proved himself. He's going to take over the Halloween franchise. Had he made the films he made after instead, this would have never happened. It was just the height of Devil's Rejects that really propelled him into this. So it tripped me out in the moment because I just didn't think that they would go in that way, like from a visionary's perspective.
Right.
Because he's so drastically different. Like, he's way more suited for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's what everybody says.
Would organically fit.
Give him a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. But I mean, I'll even say this too. I'm not like a zombie fanatic. He has his problems. Halloween 2 is my favorite movie that he has done. There is, for me, he like struck gold, at least for me, with Halloween 2. Yes. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Halloween with him. I'm not a fan of Lords of Salem at all, even though I definitely can acknowledge, that it has like an artistic quality to it. It's a beautiful looking movie, but it's just a little bit too out there for me.
Here's something.
31, I wasn't a big fan of 31.
Oh god, yeah, I didn't like 31. And I didn't care for 3 from Hell either. So, here's something to keep in mind though. That's really interesting about the Zombie 2 movie here. Zombie talked about how insane the studios were with him making this movie.
Oh yeah,
and it really makes me wonder because since Halloween 2 and his issues with it, he kind of went more independent. And you can see the drastic drop off of budget and whatnot because of it, because he's trying to kind of do his own thing.
Yeah.
And so it's all Zombie. It's all his vision. And I haven't liked a single film he's made since Halloween 2. And so it's like, sometimes we argue that studio meddling, of course, most of the time is not a good thing because it usually hurts the end product. But in this case, I feel like it might have helped it because this is the last great movie he made, in my opinion, and there was so much studio meddling in this one.
Well, he stated that the experience of shooting the first Halloween was so miserable because the Weinsteins would constantly come in and check up on almost like on a daily basis. That he didn't want to be anywhere near Halloween after it was done. Then, like a couple years later, Halloween made a lot of money. And the thought of, hey, now I can go anywhere. I don't have to remake anything. I can make my own movie, and because the last one was a hit, they'll leave me alone. And so then he started making this movie, and they wouldn't leave him alone. They still did. Yeah,
they wouldn't leave him alone. But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, is Zombie better when he's handcuffed a little?
Yeah,
because in the last 3 movies,
especially in the script department,
he had complete free reign of the last 3 movies, and I didn't care for any of it.
Oh yeah, I
didn't
haven't liked
like
anything
Lords of
since
Salem
Halloween 2.
almost at all. I didn't like 31 at all, and I thought 3 from Hell was just blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so is this a budget thing? Is this you just being uncuffed? What is this that's happening here? I really don't know what to say on that matter. So I can look at this movie I'm glad you agree with me on this. I do think this is his best film. People laugh out loud when you tell them that, though, because this movie is so
there's people that hate this movie with a purple passion. What's up, Chris? By the way, I'll see you at Spooky Empire. Go ahead.
No, just most people. Most people hate this movie. But the people who love it. That's a big difference.
I've never met anybody that liked the movie. Most of the time they say, I love it. Like you.
Right. It's kind of black and white.
Yeah. I give this movie credit for really getting my YouTube career started. That's silly. That's a silly thing to say. Getting my YouTube journey started. But I started in 2015, and I was doing reviews, and I wasn't really getting anywhere. And I'm a Halloween fanatic, but I thought nobody's like watching Halloween reviews, right? I didn't like search around enough, and so I was like, I'll review Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. All of a sudden, that video just I don't want to say blew up, but it got more views than I've ever, tenfold than I had ever gotten. And so, that was. I'm going to go ahead and Nazgoat address Cody. I'm not addressing anything. I am definitely keeping my mouth shut, and the reason being is because a lot of this stuff is very, very, very personal, and this it's been hard. It's been a hard year, and they can take shots at me all they want, and that's fine with me. I don't care, okay? But going forward, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not saying a word. I'm just moving forward, and that's it. So, anyway, we are at a good point right now. We're at Loomis, and we haven't really talked about Loomis.
No, I like that he took.
I did this. That's the one thing I didn't like about this movie.
Oh, is Loomis's portrayal?
Yeah, and it's definitely different. I'm not saying it's completely bad, but to make Loomis just this complete dick, I don't think is the way to go. Especially when you have a character that's so beloved like Loomis, Yeah,
I don't know how. I don't know. As I said, I'm so not a traditionalist that I love that this is a completely different Loomis. Loomis was kind of the embodiment of good.
Yeah.
In the first, and then in this one, he's almost the main villain of the movie. He's almost worse than Myers at points, especially when Linda's dad comes in and throws the book in front of him or the picture in front of him and is like,
you hate the guy by the end of this movie.
Oh my God. He's the worst. How does he not know who Linda is? How the fuck does he not recognize Linda's picture? I mean, he's so obsessed with himself at that point that he's like, who's this? Oh, she's lovely. It's like, dude, wow.
I just didn't understand the angle of just constantly making Loomis this money grubbing, I don't know. The whole thing was just kind of weird. Like, why make Loomis in it for the money? Because they never did that with Donald Pleasance. He wasn't that guy. So why not? You don't have to be exactly the same, but why not have him at least care about Laurie?
I guess what I would counter argue with here is take it as a story. So we pushed 2 years into the future. Memory serves, right? This is 2 years after, not 1.
2 years. Yeah. Well, it's funny because if you watch the director's cut, it's 2 years. If you watch the theatrical, it's 1 year. Strangely.
Really?
Yeah. It's very strange.
What?
Yeah.
I had never noticed. I haven't seen the theatrical cut since the theater.
Oh man, I prefer the theatrical cut. There are a few scenes that are from the theatrical cut that are not in the director's cut too. I think the theatrical cut flows better, and I definitely like the ending of the theatrical cut a lot better.
Yeah, see, we'll talk about that, but I like that Michael talks. But we'll get into that.
Stop
I know you and I will argue about it. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll argue later.
Yeah. but yeah, okay. So my counter argument to that is that a year or two, whatever it is. So Loomis in the original series, if we're gonna go, because Halloween 1 and 2 in the original is the same night, so you can't really compare that story wise. Where you have to go to the story next is in Halloween 4, when Loomis comes back 10 years later, and Loomis is this, he's this old guy that's kind of lost his mind. He's become that vagrant you see on the street that's like, he's out there, and I like that he has that kind of, he meets Jackson Sawyer, the dude who picks him up in the car, and he's seeing kind of what he's become, this guy that's like, doomsday's coming, and you're like, oh shit, I've kind of
Reverend
become
Sayer.
Yeah. And so he so you have that, like, he's still out there guy that Loomis becomes in the sequels. And I know that Zombie didn't want to do that rinse, lather, repeat kind of thing. He wanted to make him a different character. So how would Loomis still be relevant to the story a year later? It's either Michael's still alive and he's out there and I'm the crazy loon wearing the tinfoil hat.
Yep.
Or I'm trying to make a name for myself off of the fame.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there wasn't a lot of avenues to go down. He's either very cookie cutter, similar to Pleasant's version of events in part 4, or they take him in a completely different direction and he's still trying to stay relevant because he does think Michael's dead.
He kind of wrote himself into a corner with Loomis. Like, it's like, how many different things can you do with the character, his version of the character.
Right.
Now we're in the nightclub scene with Jeff Daniel Phillips, who I think is like one of the he's just like a secret weapon, I love Jeff Daniel Phillips. I don't know, he's just got this, he's got that's something that some character actors have. I don't know if you see it, but I see it in this, and I like that. He's kind of the comic relief because he's like, can't afford the new tits. Can you loan me some bones? It's just, I love it. It's just like the guy I'd want to hang out with.
What does he say? Like, enjoy the herpes or enjoy? Yeah, he's great. The other guy in that scene, the owner of the Rabbit and Red Lounge, is an actor named Daniel Roebuck, who is in tons and tons of movies, but he was in a movie called The River's Edge with Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, Crispin Glover. Fantastic film. So Daniel Roebuck has been in everything from the first Final Destination.
He looks very familiar. I know I've seen him in something.
Yeah, he's the the FBI guy in Final Destination. He's in everything.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you just rang the bell. Yeah.
I figured that might be it, but he's been in a ton of stuff. I love that dude. So it's good that Zombie and a bunch of other directors always pick him up for work. So I dig him.
We're about to have the head stomp scene, which I think is the better head stomp than Halloween.
One of the better. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm definitely not shitting all over Halloween 2018 now. What they did with Myers, I think, is perfection. Like, I love what they did with Myers in that movie. There's a few things I loved. The score, freaking amazing score. Yeah. But I'm just comparing the head stomps. So
sure. No, I have my issue. I did a very long review of 2018's Halloween.
Oh yeah, me too. I did 3 reviews on that movie. I got it out of my system.
I have I got some issues with it for sure. I hate the title. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Why call it Halloween? I mean, plus if you're calling the next 2 movies Kills and Ends, give it
Halloween Returns.
Yeah, Halloween Returns. I know that the previous movie was going to be called that, but still, use the name.
Yeah, Halloween Returns. Simple. Yeah. I'll never understand that. Anyway, so yeah, he's crushing the head, and then he hangs him up for that girl to run out into. I love that when she comes out and he's hanging up outside.
Oh yeah.
And his face is all he's even got like boot prints in his face.
Yeah, and I don't think Scout Taylor Compton or Laura Strode could do that to hang him up like that.
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying. She could not have gotten him up there. It's just, that's a silly argument. That's a silly.
Oh yeah, here comes the head stomp. But man, I tell you, this scene, it's just so dark too, But you can still see it. but it's like Zombie cranked it down as low as he could go, but still, still discernible. I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing in this movie that's indecipherable visually.
Yeah. You notice that this movie's it's much more wide open space too, this movie, than the previous movie.
Yeah, it's not contained.
No, it's not contained at all. Like, this feels much, which is something that you don't see in slasher movies that often. For some reason in slasher movies, it seems like the setting, the location is always a little bit more contained.
Well, yeah, because location.
Maybe it's just easier to shoot.
Expensive.
I don't know.
Yeah, when you have a shooting schedule, the least amount of filming locations, the better for the budget. And so slasher movies of the 80s were cheap, and they could only use a few certain locations, and that's why they kept it very small and contained. Yeah, no, they used Haddonfield as their playground in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
We explore more of Haddonfield in this movie than we do in any other film. So...
Now, lighting-wise, I love this scene where you have, like, the sex scene, and then Myers comes in, and he's got the mask on, and he looks, it's lit kind of like neonish, but yeah, it's really cool looking scene. Now, one thing that we haven't really mentioned too much is the white trash aspect connected with Rob Zombie, and that is something that I didn't find as much in Halloween 2. There are moments, like this moment does have a little bit of the white trash aspect to it, but for the most part, I think he dialed it back quite a bit, and this might be his least white trash movie out of the bunch. Would you agree?
I would agree, and it's kind of funny though, because in the first one, Laurie is very like typical teenage girl, and in this one, she's much more rebellious rocker zombie kind of chick.
Yeah.
So your main character is more trashy in this movie, but she feels less because of the surrounding characters.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think she would be a little bit trashier given what she went through.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a way to portray like trashy people in movies, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre does it, but for some reason they're not annoying in Texas Chainsaw Massacre because the dialogue's good. They give them something to do, See,
I think the best performance given in a zombie film by far, well, I shouldn't say by far, because Brad Dourif's is really, really solid, but William Forsythe's performance in Devil's Rejects is phenomenal.
Excellent.
I mean, just absolutely fantastic. But on the other hand, his performance in Halloween is just, it's so over the top trashy. It's like, dude, it's the dialogue too. It's so forced. It's like, I'm gonna, jack it all over them floppy titties.
Yeah, and to open the movie like that is just ease us into that shit,
Yes, and just like calling like, oh, that girl's got quite, dumper on her, and all this stuff. Like he's talking to what girl would stay with a guy that's sitting there talking about how great her dog's ass is? There's no fucking way.
And he's got like a broken leg. Is it broken leg or broken arm? Something like that. I don't know. Which
broken
he did
leg.
have in real life. But
I'm all busted open over here, bitch.
I'm all broken up over here, bitch.
Oh God, yeah. I love him too. So it's kind of like, it's a bittersweet kind of thing where I'm like, I love William Forsythe. He can bring the insanity, but it's just dialed.
Just the role, That's the hand that he was dealt, and he had to pretty much just do the best he could with it.
Yes. He's so great in Devil's Rejects, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised he didn't pull Zombie aside and say, are you sure you want me to do this?
He probably did. He was probably like, a little much, man. You want to maybe just change the dialogue. I mean, I feel like he could have delivered a lot of those lines similarly, but just the dialogue itself, the actual written word is like, that's what you're going with?
Yeah.
All right.
I think Dead Jester Circus has a point. He says Lords of Salem has less trash, I would say, than any Rob Zombie movie. I would agree with that.
I've seen it once. I barely remember it.
I watched it again recently, actually, and that was that's the first time I watched it all the way through. The first time I watched it, I couldn't make it all the way through the movie. But I
just remember it being very boring.
It is. It's tough to get through. I was glad I finished it, and I reviewed it. It was right after Dylan passed. And so, I just kind of was like, I kind of want to watch Lords of Salem now because, just kind of in honor of Dylan. And so then I reviewed it. But I appreciated it. But it's just not my type of movie, I guess.
There's some really cool, interesting visuals. Like when they're in her apartment and there's this like creature thing that's in there and it's in like lit in like reds and stuff. I was like, oh wow, that looks really visually striking. Fuck, man, I wish it was attached to a better movie.
Yeah, I mean, it at times it looks like something like out of Nicholas Winding Refn. You know, it's just visually very striking.
Combined with like freaking Lovecraft. Or,
yeah, he got really ambitious with that one.
He did, and I've said this a million times. I'll say it a million more times on my channel. I would rather someone try something unique and original and swing for the fences and fail than to just check all the boxes and, you know, make some kind of cookie cutter movie.
Countdown.
Like, and
that's pretty much what Countdown is. It's just a cookie cutter, check the box, have your popcorn and enjoy it.
It is. And that's exactly what I said in my review. I was like, I shouldn't like this movie. I should, like when I was watching it, I'm like, I'm still having a great time for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know what that one was. I don't, but I did enjoy that one. So
yeah, that was kind of my attitude when I was watching it. I was like, they could have done better than that. That's cliche, but
100%.
I'm still having a decent time.
Better. Yeah, I had a good time, but I was sitting there like I could have wrote this scene better. We could have done this better for sure. Our rating would have helped for sure, but you know, whatever it is, what it is. Where are we at?
We're at the scene where Linda's dad is at the book signing and he's threatening.
Oh
Myers.
Man, such a sad scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen that actor recently. He's in another show. I can't remember the name of the show though. I was just watching it like I think last week. So he's still working. He's one of those character actors that, you know. He's probably based out of Atlanta because this was shot in Covington. So, but yeah, and you got Loomis in the limo here, and just, you know, the way he treats everybody, like he's treating his assistant like she's, you know, an idiot. I don't know. Yeah. You get the impression that Loomis isn't really proud of himself though. Like he has those kind of, I don't want to say self-loathing, but he has these moments in the movie where he's not really buying into his own bullshit, especially
he's questioning his behavior.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's most prevalent when he is watching his. He's watching the playback of like the Weird Al Yankovic. I think
that was one scene that I didn't think was needed. I guess it kind of fit into the Loomis story, but it was kind of just out of play. Now this performance right here by Scout Taylor Compton, she's in her car, she just got the book, and she just noticed.
Right, she has
to freak out in the car. I loved her performance in that scene. Really good stuff.
Yeah. Because this is where she would need to be over the top and scream at the top of her lungs. And then she immediately goes to where any youth, you know, any troubled youth would be, straight to drugs or alcohol. Yeah. You know, just like, I need my friends. I need some drink. I can't handle this. Because, I mean, if you look at any normal teenage girl, they go rebellious and they go rocker style or they go whatever way over nothing. Yeah. I mean, this girl had her friends murdered. This girl was brutally attacked. This girl just found out that this dude was her brother. She never even knew. Like, if any girl has a reason to be like this. She
would be a train wreck.
Oh my God. She sounds like girls I've definitely dated in my life.
Yeah. Oh, Holly Klein says, I'm not me. I'm Angel Myers. That scene's coming up pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, Angel. Interesting. So I like that he changed the name kind of because keeping the name would be the same. Because that's a huge issue I have with Halloween 2. The other one, is Loomis not knowing that Laurie's Michael's sister. Get the fuck. How is that possible?
I know, right?
How is that possible? It's impossible. A garage is opening. I apologize for the noise.
That's okay.
Someone's pulling in.
I actually drove out to the Brackett house when I was in Covington, Georgia. And let me tell you, that is a drive. Like from the main town where you see in the movie, the main little, it looks like Main Street, you know. From there to the Brackett house, I'd say it was a good 30-minute drive out in the middle of nowhere. But I was pretty excited to be there. I'll tell you that. That was a pretty cool experience.
You're talking about the Brackett house
in this movie. The White House is just out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
But when you're watching the movie, you don't know that it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, right. I saw that. I saw you out there. You were
Yeah.
at like the gates of the house or something, like at the driveway.
Yeah, I looked up the filming locations because I was where I was working at the time. I had to go to this training in Atlanta, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to Atlanta," and Covington, George is there, and I wanted to go see the Friday the 13th Part 6 camp, and I wanted to go see this. I only had time to go see this, which kind of worked out because I included it in my revisited review that I did for Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But man, it was cool just visiting those locations, and you know, I don't know. I that's how much I love this movie. You know, because most movies you don't really care about the filming locations if you're, you know, just a casual fan. But if it's something you love, like I visited Pasadena, California, you did too. I remember in your live stream, and visiting the original Myers house, dude. I was like shaking.
I remember I went to the Myers house. Did you go to the Myers house from Rob Zombie's?
Not the one in Pasadena, no.
Okay, yeah, I went to that one, which is a filming location for lots of movies.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was cool being there. I went to the original Myers house, of course, but then I went to the zombie Myers house, and I think it's only used for filming because it was like a sign was up on the door like that it was the property of a production company.
Yeah.
And inside there was nothing. I mean, it was completely blank house. And it's right on a normal street with plenty, you know, where everybody else just lives on that street.
Didn't they shoot like Buffy the Vampire Slayer there?
Something like that.
Yeah, I heard there's
like
a few
films
shows that use that house. Now we're at the Weird Al Yankovic scene, which why is Weird Al Yankovic in a Halloween movie?
I'm sure Zombie looks up to him.
Yeah, and they used that old Mike Myers joke, which is just the easiest joke in the world to use.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you got to be really careful with that kind of stuff, though, because I think that writers sometimes forget connections.
Yeah.
Because a big issue I have with Halloween H2O, I personally hate that movie. I always have since the day I saw it. I feel like H2O is the feeling I had when people went and saw this movie. Because it shit all over everything in the Halloween franchise to me. But one thing that movie did was that it had the girls in the movie were watching Scream 2.
Yep.
And it's like, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
They talk about Halloween in Scream 1. It's like
it makes no
one
sense.
of the main reference points. You can't do like meta like that. It doesn't work. Like, and so that's what I'm saying. You bring Weird Al in and you bring these people in, and it's like, but wait a minute. Weird Al's in this and that's in this. So that can't exist in the Halloween verse. You got to be really careful when you start bringing in real world stuff to the Halloween franchise or any of those kinds of franchises.
I think H2O is another one of those like love-hate movies because I'm with you. I probably don't hate it like you do, but I have a lot of problems with it. Like a lot of like it's down in the bottom tier of my ranking for the franchise. And then you got people like Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards, and he freaking loves the movie to death. Nostalgia has a little bit to do with that.
But remind me if I'm correct, or correct me if I'm wrong. I said that backwards.
Remind me if I'm correct.
Any way to just make me right.
Yeah.
Only remind me if I'm correct. He's the guy who put Halloween H2O's mask as his favorite mask in the franchise.
Yeah, I believe he did.
Get the fuck out of here. I remember I laughed at that. I was just like,
I love you,
are
Barry.
you serious? That's wow. That I feel like no film has worse masks because they have the CGI mask. They have multiple different masks. They have Bug Eye Jason. They have Michael.
The four mask things just really. But now you got Entertainment Wizard in here. Says H2O is a masterpiece compared to this piece of crap. I completely see where he gets that from because these two movies are completely opposite ends of the spectrum, and they're just completely different films. And so I could see how somebody could say that about this movie being like amazing and then H2O being a piece of crap and vice versa.
Right. I agree. No, I'm not taking anything away from people who dig the movie for sure. And that's film is subjective, guys. This is where trolling gets its problems. I'm not saying he's trolling because he isn't. This is his, that's his preferred film. That's fine. But film is subjective. If you hate a movie and I love it, that doesn't make the movie good or bad. It just makes it a movie.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess we always just kind of weigh in on the general consensus. And it's like, well, the movie's mostly liked, so it's a good movie. The movie's mostly hated, so it's a bad movie. That's kind of how we gauge film. But that's not really film. It's your experience, period. If
That's one of the things that made me fall in love with movies is the fact that you and me can have completely different opinions. That's how subjective film is,
Yeah.
I love that about it.
I mean, unless you think like The Mask and H2O is the best in the franchise, and
then you're wrong.
Then you're just wrong.
Now, we have the scene where Annie, played by horror alumni Danielle Harris, she's about to get killed. Now, at this party here.
Oh shit, we jumped up, man, because we didn't even get to talk about how hot Harley and what's her other friend's name? Bree's freaking character.
They're actually on Harley right now. She's at the party. And I believe if you look in the crowd, if you find it, you freeze frame it, there is a guy with a thorn symbol on his wrist.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm dressed like a chick that wants to be a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that secret. Like Harley's great, man.
Oh yeah. Another great character, And I'm the first guy to usually say Zombie can't write characters for shit. But I like some of the characters in this movie. I liked Bree Grant, and I liked Harley. You got the wolf guy.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah, he's funny.
He's got to go take a leak. Oh man, I would have suffered through it for that chick. I would have now, not later.
With that weird cut against the tree, it's like the camera cuts and then Michael's there at the tree.
Yeah. Well, he's doing some freaking teleporting in this one.
Yeah.
Like Jason and freaking Takes Manhattan.
Now, Jeff Daniel Phillips plays two parts in this movie. He also plays the singer.
Up on the stage, yeah.
Which makes you think Jeff Daniel Phillips could be a really good, party MC, He's just got that quality about him.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is where their friendship, where Rob and Jeff Daniel Phillips became friends, because ever since this movie, he's been in, I think, every movie of Rob Zombie's.
Richard Brake?
No, not Richard Brake. Jeff Daniel Phillips.
I know. Richard Brake as well, right?
Yeah, Richard Brake as well.
This one.
Did you have a problem with them? On the cover of 3 from Hell, they didn't have Sid Haig. Did you have a problem with that?
Not at all. He's in it for 20 seconds. It would have been
gold that's what I heard.
Yeah. Literally he's in it for under a minute.
Dead Jester Circus gave us a super chat. He said, H2O is garbage. I wanted to pay to say that. And thank you, Brandon Gregory. Did you know Wolfman is actually Ben Tramer? He's taking a piss right now. And then Harley's doing her little van dance.
Michael should have hit him with a car.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, he just quick jump and then boom, I think he slammed his head up against the tree, which that would hurt like a motherfucker, by the way.
Ben Tramer did not come out of nowhere, by the way. When he says that, he came out of nowhere. He just walked off the street.
How in the hell? It was wide open. How in the hell did he come out of nowhere?
They act like he stepped from behind a bush.
Yeah.
There was no attempt to stop, by the way. There was no brakes were hit. And this was before cell phones, man. He was not texting. There was no excuse.
Do you miss movies that were before cell phones? Or does it bother you?
I mean, I think as a horror writer, it is kind of an annoyance. Because it's like once upon a time, that's why I think period piece horror works so well.
Oh yeah.
It's because, especially pre-phone, then you're really fucked. I remember when I was watching The Witch, I was like, they have nowhere to go.
Nowhere.
They've been excommunicado from their little township there. They can't even go there. They can't go anywhere. There's nowhere to call. If they get hurt, there's no ambulance coming. There's no nothing. So the cell phone thing, yeah, that's tough, man. And of course the go-to is there's no service.
Yeah.
I like when people come up with clever ways to take the phones away.
Me too.
You'll see it here and there where, I remember in Funny Games, I think was one of the first times where I saw someone really like try to address that issue when the guy comes in and he knocks her phone in the water purposely.
Yeah.
He doesn't know he's a villain at that point, but he like destroys her phone before he then comes back to attack her. So he knows she doesn't have a phone, and he knows she does, they cut the lifeline. Cause like even like the landline's really easy. Cause in like, you go to like, Friday the 13th, Jason just breaks the cord, and then that's that. Like they don't have a phone at the house anymore. But yeah, the cell phone thing's tough.
It's tough, and most of the time it gets in the way and it's annoying. The only time I think that it worked was Scream. I'm sure there's other instances, but Scream really sticks out.
Because
go ahead.
Phone is so in play.
Yeah. It's a major part of the plot. Couple observations here. Halloween is Lit said, have you ever noticed that Annie never leaves the house in the movie? I never thought about that, but she never leaves that house.
That would make perfect sense. She would be reclusive because of what happened to her.
Well, like that definitely makes perfect sense. It fits with the behavior. So
and to point this out too, because I would seem that Annie is very confident in the first movie, like extremely so. She's very she's confident not only with her role in the town as the sheriff's daughter, because she's like, hey, I'm the sheriff's daughter.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit too much.
Bait? It's a little much, but it does fit a 17-year-old girl who thinks she's above anything.
Why don't you crawl back under your fucking rock? Or something like that.
Like, she's so overboard with this. And then when she's having her sex scene, she's very comfortable with her body. She's like, tell me you want to fuck me. And for a 17-year-old girl, that's very rare. That's not usually how sex goes at that age. At that age, it's kind of like, where do I stick it? I don't know what the hell's going on here. You don't know what the fuck's going on. So she's a very confident young woman in that movie. Yeah. And then she's not only psychologically scarred, but physically scarred. She has cuts all over her face, all over her chest.
Yeah.
And even though I personally still find her to be gorgeous, she would not think she was. She would be look in the mirror and be like, I'm a fucking monster. I'm hideous. She wouldn't want to leave the house just for the physical scars, let alone the mental scars as well. So I do think that it fits her character.
I'm going to see her on Saturday, and I'm going to ask her which version of Annie did she like playing, part 1 or part 2 more, because they're two different characters.
2 for sure. There's way more acting in 2.
Yeah, I would think so too. Matter of fact, we're on that scene now where she's got the robe on and the cop's outside smoking the cigarette. He's about to get killed. What is it about Halloween movies and when cops are standing outside, we already know they're fucking dead.
Yes. Yes, cops don't stand a chance in Michael. Because usually in movies, when the cops show up, then the killer wants nothing to do with the scene.
Right.
That's when they disappear, and then they won't come back until the cops are gone. But when the cops are there, Michael's like, let's play. He definitely goes to town when cops are around for sure. I think one of the best edited sequences in any zombie movie, but especially in this film, the best sequence in this for me, editing wise, is when Laurie comes to the house and she's looking around the house, and then we get these really quick cut flashes of intense Annie action.
I was actually just about to mention that. I thought that was handled perfectly.
It's beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
Because you think that they're going to show, Myers just going to town on her, you're scared. And then he just completely decided to shoot it in a completely different way just by what you hear scares you. Her cries, her screams, I think it works better.
Do you think that is a zombie choice, or do you think that was an editor choice? Like, hey, look, I broke it up here and I injected it into this place.
Yeah, I like to think
this works better, or,
I mean, that's a pretty ambitious editor to go to that. I don't know. I almost think Zombie would have had to have some kind of say to go that route, or an editor might have did it and then came back to Zombie and said, hey, what do you think of this? I got a little bit experimental, I don't know.
Right, or maybe pitched it. Like, what do you think about... I mean, it was probably Zombie's idea, but whoever's idea it was, it has more impact like that.
Yeah. I think Zombie's such a forward-thinking type of director, like him or not. I like to think that something that's that different and ambitious, his name would be all over it.
Yeah.
Yep. Here's Bree Grant and Lori. They're at the house now. They're not ready for what's about to happen.
No.
As far as Myers go, did you think Myers seemed different aside from aesthetically? Did you think Myers seemed different in his portrayal in this movie than the previous?
Outside of aesthetics, yes, he's much more angry in this movie.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. A little bit more abrupt too, you know.
Yes.
As far as like his attack.
Yeah, I feel like it almost feels like he failed, and he's been carrying that around with him for years.
Some anger there, and he wants revenge. I don't know if it's revenge, but he's angry.
Because if we're thinking of all the kills done in the first movie, he's a brute, no doubt about it. Like the fight with him and Joe Grizzly and stuff like that, where he actually has to have real physical altercations against people that can physically match his power.
Right.
He has to then overmatch that power to be able to best the situation. But that's just more of a brutish show of force and strength, more so than anger. One thing where I think that one thing I prefer drastically in the first Halloween, as far as director's cut versus theatrical cut, is I love the breaking out of jail sequence much more in the theater cut than the rape sequence. I think that rape sequence is absolutely horrid.
Now, speaking of different cuts, we are at the Lori finding Annie. This is one of my favorite scenes. It probably is my favorite scene in the movie. Just Scout Taylor Compton's reaction, I think, is just beautiful in this scene. And in the director's cut, they added those little snippets of Danielle Harris when she was a child, which kind of connected you back to Halloween 4 and 5. I don't know about you, but I did. I kind of went back to Halloween 4 and 5 with those photos for some reason. Maybe just a little homage to her, but man, just beautifully done scene.
Almost like a swan song to her entire involvement in the franchise.
Exactly. I thought just beautiful.
Yeah, it's a fantastic sequence.
It is.
From
and
this point
somebody in the chat asked
Dorff.
a question about Brad Dourif's performance. The hands, when he puts the hands up, and he says, "Where is she?" And he does that. I don't know. Brad Dourif just added that little extra there. I, as a father, and I'm sure you too.
Yeah,
I felt his performance.
Absolutely. I wasn't a father at this time, so you saw it the first viewing as a father. I wouldn't have. So in
my kids were at a young age.
My
kids were probably in middle school when this movie came out. Yeah. So that scene really connected with me, because I love my, of course, I love my kids more than anything. So, and I never seen a slasher movie tackle a father finding his child to that level. I mean, sure, Brackett did, but it's a quick little scene.
You let him out.
You let him out. Hey, have you ever seen the TV cut of Halloween 2? Deputy Hunt. They did a different take when he tells Brackett, when he goes, "One of them was Annie."
Was Annie?
Well, in the TV cut, he goes, "One of them was Annie." I mean, it's just so over the top.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
I don't remember that. I just remember the only thing I really remember from the TV cut, which I've only watched once, is that Jimmy's in the ambulance with her at the end.
Yeah. Man, I tell you, definitely give it another watch. The TV cut is, just so different. It's a lot of new scenes. The editing is completely changed around. The score's kind of lazy because they kind of reuse some. I don't know. It's just, but it's definitely something to watch from time to time because it's just a unique cut. Probably one of the most unique cuts out of the whole franchise, next to the producer's cut.
I love the added footage from the TV version of the original. I love Loomis talking to the board of directors.
Yeah.
I like when Linda comes over to borrow a shirt from Lori. I like that stuff. I like more interaction with those characters. It gives us more of a connection to them as friends, you know, having seen it so many times to get those added sequences. Because I probably had seen the movie, you know, a couple hundred times and never had seen those scenes. And then it was like something new to something so old and known to me. And it was like, holy shit, there's more to this.
You know, it's funny. It's like I never go for that TV cut of the first Halloween when I watch the first Halloween, ever.
No,
I always go,
never.
yeah, you got to watch the original cut because the flow to me is a little off when you watch those extra 12 minutes.
I get why it's a cut out, but I still like the sequences.
Yeah. So
As
now
far
we're
as
at the scene where Myers just broke in, Lori just broke down, and then it's kind of an interesting scene too because you have to go from, you know, you are just completely distraught and you're crying, and then you have to snap from that to, oh shit, I'm about to die. I need to get the fuck out of here.
Because I mean, logic would also reason that you might be so mentally distraught and broken in that moment. She might just be in a sense of like, fucking kill me. I don't care. Like, just take my life. Taking too much.
Depending on the person, they might go a different route, and they might just be like, okay, I'm done. Just end it.
I'm not running anymore.
Yeah. Oh, this performance. I wish you could see this. If there's one scene I wish you could see, Jason, it's this performance by Brad Dourif. Oh, just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I like what he's saying with the hands. What the
Where
guy
is
was saying,
she?
because that's the don't fuck with me again.
Yeah.
I'm this close to snapping. I'm putting my hands. I'm running them into fists. You try to say one more thing to me, I'm gonna blast your face.
Yeah.
Like, get out of my way. This is my daughter. Don't fuck with me.
And I like that they physically had to pick him up and like carry him out of there. You know, I think you could feel like the heartbreak in his performance, you know, physically.
Another sequence like that reminds me of something like that. And it's all the strength coming out of your body because you've lost all of it, having something so tragic happen to you. Yeah. That reminds me of the sequence in 1408 when Michael Enslin's John Cusack's character, Michael Enslin, he sees his daughter for the first time since her death, and he just immediately collapses to his knees.
Oh yeah,
because it just can't handle it. It's just like, I can't. It's my kid. Like I can't even physically stand. It's so emotionally draining that my physical body can't handle it. Like I'm just putty, you know, and that's what our kids do to us.
Oh yeah, they level us. They break us right down.
They're so fragile, and you're putting all of your love and your existence into something that so easily could be taken from you. Yeah. And it's scary, and it's fucking terrifying. And so, yeah, what I think it was the best part of that sequence is Lori throughout the movie has an identity crisis. She doesn't know where she stands anymore. She doesn't know how she feels. She doesn't know anything. And especially when she finds out that she's the sister of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And she's been lied to by not only her parents, who are now dead, and she doesn't want to hate them because that's a stain on their memory. So she's feeling very conflicted there. And so Annie has been around the whole film, and you can see there's tension between them pretty much throughout. And Annie is the one person that could relate to her because she's the one person that survived that night. And it's only in that moment when she's dying that she realizes how important Annie was to her and how she squandered that. And I think that that's such a powerful moment in Scout and hers performance, where it's like it's, for me, if you're talking about shots, and especially with hands,
right,
it's when she's grabbing her hand and there's blood all over it, and they get the close up of the hands, and you can see the like strength in Annie's hand dwindling. It's real. It's like the life's leaving her body, and you can see like Scout's like gripping on tighter because she doesn't want to lose her. It's a great moment, man. And
it's a great moment also because, like, you know, if thinking back, her last encounter with Annie wasn't a very positive one. You know,
not at all.
And most of her encounters with Annie in the past year haven't been very positive. So there's that regret.
She took her in.
Yeah,
she took her in. Yeah. Like, they took her in as a freaking, like, as a, you know, a sister, as a daughter. Like, they brought her into the family, and she's still shit all over them.
If anything, you guys that like hate this movie, look at Scout Taylor Compton's performance and kind of let that be your guide. She goes, I mean, mentally, she goes through so many different emotions in this movie. You know, she's all over the place emotionally. And I think she played the performance just so great. There's things that get in the way, like the white horse. All this other stuff gets in the way, Loomis. But if you just stay on Laurie throughout the whole movie, I think you'll find it a much better movie, than you think it is.
Mentally traumatized. Here's something to consider.
Yeah.
Mentally traumatized Scout Taylor Compton's Laurie Strode, to me, is much better than Jamie Lee Curtis's mentally distraught Laurie Strode following the events of Halloween 1, and she got 3 tries.
She sure did.
Scout got 1. And I feel like Scout nailed it on her first go. She got it in Halloween 2. She got it in H2O. She got it in 2018. She got it a lot of different times. And she never gave this kind of performance to me.
Yeah,
Nothing even close.
I guess and really, if I'm being fair, I think the one thing I did like about H2O was Jamie Lee Curtis's performance. I don't think she drove it home all the way, 100%, but I think the moments that did stand out really stood out. The encounter, the confrontation between her and Myers, I think was really good. When she grabs that axe and she goes down the road and she screams Michael, that was good.
That's all in the trailer. So that was ruined. That was
check
ruined
out the trailer and call it a day.
Stupid. No, I get what you're saying.
But this is a much more harder edged, I think even more believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, H2O is very glossy because it's from
that's
that
one of my
Scream
big
era.
It's Dawson's Creek, I mean,
Yes.
it definitely feels like the Dawson's Creek of the franchise, and I have a major problem with that.
But it's leagues better, and that's saying something since I hate the movie. It is 10 times better than Resurrection.
Yeah. Now we're at the scene in the now I don't know if you remember in the theatrical cut, but they're in the barn, and young Michael is holding Laurie Strode
down.
And then there's like the strobe going off.
Right.
Shit's hitting the fan. It's going crazy now.
Yeah, because when Loomis comes in, no one's holding her.
Yeah.
So now that we're on this sequence, what is going on here? Is there some kind of supernatural connection where Laurie is actually seeing it? Is it a shared delusion? And if so, how could she possibly be seeing what Michael's seeing? Because he couldn't exactly explain it to her, nor would she have ever heard of the White Horse. To be fair, though, I guess you could say she picked up Dr. Loomis's book.
Yeah.
Dr. Loomis's book would have chronicled Michael's therapy. And in Michael's therapy, if what we see in the flashback in the opening sequence of this movie is to be canon to the original, even though it was done afterwards, Michael would have discussed the White Horse to Loomis.
Yeah.
So it's possible that's in the book, and she read that, and she's having a shared delusion with Michael in that moment.
Yeah, I think this is where she syncs up, so to speak. Like you said, she read the book, or she read something that made it click in her head, and so it's like everything's coming to a head in this last scene. And this is where now, if you want to start breaking off and talking about those theories, you could say that in the theatrical cut, when she stabs Michael over and over,
yeah,
it could be like her letting go of the killer inside of her, or just letting go of Michael in general, that part of her life. And then she comes out with the mask on her head. And, I think when she comes out with the mask on her head, of course they put her in an insane asylum, but that is the moment where she's finally like whole again or one again. I don't know. You could look at that last scene in so many different ways, really.
I guess I would throw this hat into the ring to maybe speculate upon if you were going to take this into account.
Yeah.
Look at the taglines of both films. The first one, if memory serves me, is "Evil has a destiny." And the second one is "Family is forever."
Yep.
If that is the case, then evil has a destiny. The destiny being what culminates in this movie to where they come together at a head like this, and family is forever, the desire for the family to be one again from this destiny of them all meeting up here in this barn. So was this always to be? And if so, does that give credence to that there is something supernatural occurring here and that they're talking to them from beyond, like ghosts, like hauntings?
Yeah, and that's actually a good way to put it, because we know that Deborah Myers is dead. The young version of Myers could be a clue that Myers is dead. So, I mean, like I said, you could theorize, you know.
Why is his sister not there?
What's that?
Why is his sister not there?
That's
Why
a
is
good
his
point.
dad not there?
Yeah, like I said, that is a really good point. I don't know. Maybe the sister isn't in like the trauma zone. You know, the parts that are traumatic to Laurie are Myers and Deborah Myers. So I don't know. I mean, you could look at it in so many different ways.
Yeah, because Deborah in the first movie, although she is a shitty mom for letting the stepdad or whatever he is be what he is, she's also very dumb to the telltale signs that Michael has some serious issues.
Yeah.
With dead cats in his freaking backpack and taking pictures of dead animals mutilated and tortured.
Yeah, they definitely went down that serial killer role.
Yeah, the tropes of the serial killer. So she's definitely clueless, but the way, because they have that interaction right before she leaves, where she's like, this scene's a little ridiculous, where she's kind of like, I shouldn't let you going out trick-or-treating tonight with the shit you pulled.
Yeah.
It's like, this kid fucking murdered a cat. And like, what do you mean this shit he pulled? This is bigger than, you know, he did some prank. Like, this is no joke.
It
but
sure
she's
seems
just kinda
like you
plays it
fucking
off.
do.
Yeah. Kind of. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. But in that sequence, I feel like she does show heart. She does have love for her son. When she comes to visit him, she tells him, you're not ugly. Like, even though he's committed the ugliest acts imaginable.
Yeah.
I think another big problem, I'm going to just jump off track for 1 second.
No,
because
go
we
ahead.
didn't mention this, is the casting of a different kid. Hate it. I don't care how much older he looked. I don't give a shit. They shouldn't have done it. That was a
completely
terrible
forgettable
decision. Yeah. Awful decision to not bring back the original actor. I don't know how to say that kid's name.
Daig.
Daig
Farch. Daig, I guess he grew like a foot or something like that, but still.
That's what they said. Who
Put him in there.
cares?
Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird.
I don't know. It's like, I'm not going to, okay, let's not get too off track there. Getting back to Deborah. I was going to go off on some tangent like I normally
No,
do.
go ahead.
No. We're going to get back to Deborah.
Okay. Well,
so
she's stabbing the shit out of Myers right now, and I think visually it looks more interesting when she does. I just don't like the idea of Myers screaming "die" after all the, after this whole movie when he doesn't say a word, he's just filled with anger, and then he just
Does
screams
he say
"die"
in the theater version?
No, in the theater version it was just this: she walks outside, puts with the mask on, and then that's it.
Because he doesn't speak until the director's cut.
Yeah, and you know what? I guess it fits in with Zombie's first movie where Myers did talk. 100%. So, I mean,
Don't take away my talking point that I gave to you. No, I agree, man. That's totally it. This is a different Myers. And the Myers that killed Judith Myers in the first original John Carpenter's movie never said a word to Loomis from there on.
Yep.
In Zombie's version, he talks for like a year straight.
Yeah.
He continues to talk. He talks a lot. And we not only get to see Michael talk after the events, we get to see him talk before the events. Michael has never spoken a single word in the Halloween franchise
Nope.
until Zombie's version, period. Not even as a child. So In Zombie's version, he gave him the ability to speak, which he would have spoken before these events, obviously.
Yeah.
And so we get to see that. And then he continues to keep talking after. And then when he feels like he's not being heard anymore, when he's like, Loomis is just going over the same, like, you're a murderer. You did these things. Now, whether Michael believes he did it or not, I'm unclear on that. Because he's like, I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that.
I didn't do
and
that.
It's like,
yeah. I hated those exchanges between Loomis and
You don't like that, huh?
No,
None of them?
I just didn't. You know what? The thing that got me into the franchise, I jumped on with 4. I saw 4 in the theater opening night when it came out, and it changed my life. Like, no movie had scared me ever like Part 4 did. Like, it really shook me to the core. And so that version of Myers, 4, 5, and 6, I always found the scariest. You know, he just, and a big part of that was the performance by George P. Wilbur and Don Shanks, of course, but mostly George P. Wilbur. And
not Shanks.
Just the shoulder pads.
Wilbur's great.
So now we're at the end, and Laurie Strode is given the smile. She's in the sanatorium. We're wrapping this movie up. It flew right by. Holy crap. Love hurts. And boy, does it after watching this movie. But I like it. I still think it, I still think it holds up really well. I think it gets better every time I watch it. I think there's a cult following for this movie now.
The cult of Michael Myers.
I think Zombie went out on a high note. I do.
Yes. So if we go back then to that, okay, if evil has a destiny, if family is forever, what's the purpose? Because, okay, let's take the ending of the first one. Michael's clearly trying to kill Laurie.
Right.
Period. There's no two ways about that. He is trying to kill her. In this version, at the end, he has the kill shot. Easy, right there. She was being held by young Michael. He could have just, boom, broke her neck, stabbed her, whatever. He took her out of the car.
Yep.
He had her right there. He could have killed her right there on the spot. So he has that moment, and Michael is always screwed up on killing Laurie. But he has that moment to kill her, and he doesn't take it. In fact, he lets a 5'0" 90-pound girl overpower him and stab him to death.
Yeah.
If that was always the destiny and they were trying to bring Angel back to the family, wouldn't she have to die for that to happen? Or is she having the baton passed to her as the now new nutcase in the family? And that was evil has the destiny, and that destiny is Laurie Strode.
Or is it just chaos? Like, is there an ending to it? Because this whole family dynamic was, from the beginning of Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, was chaos. And so isn't it fitting for the whole thing to end in chaos?
Would Laurie Strode, if broken out or let free, kill?
That's a good question. I say no.
I don't know. No. The look she gives at the end is that she's broken and she's accepted her family lineage.
Yeah. Like, I don't think she's like Jamie Lloyd, at the end of 4. I don't think this is that type of ending. I think it's just she's insane at the end, but not necessarily a killer. But then we don't know, I don't know.
Do you think she talks?
Yes.
You think so? Okay. So
I do. I still think she talks. I think she's just so fucked up from everything that just went on. And this is just like I said, the ending is just chaos. It could go anywhere, really.
Do you think Margot Kidder retains herself as her therapist and becomes the new Loomis?
Yeah, I do. Because remember, they were going to do a Halloween 3D that took place after this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
freaking Patrick Lussier.
Yeah.
And Todd Farmer, right? They were gonna helmet at one point. And
I never read the script. Did you read the script for that?
No,
I was curious to read it, but I never did. I think this is a fitting conclusion.
Would you have been on board? I think no one would have been almost at all. I might have been, depending, because as I said, I'm a non-traditionalist. Would you have been on board for a Scout Taylor Compton, Michael Myers killing movie? She's the killer in the movie.
No, and let me tell you why. I think as much as I love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I think I was done with the Rob Zombie universe. I think this was a fitting ending, and I think I couldn't probably stomach any more of it. As much as I love this movie, I think it just stands on its own, and I don't think I'd want a sequel to this movie, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think that plenty of movies end perfectly. I think that Devil's Rejects is a perfect example. It has a perfect
ending, yeah.
And when 3 from Hell was announced, I was like, I usually am never this person. I'm usually like, okay, whatever, I'll check it out, and if I don't like it, I'll disregard it. But when they announced that, I was like, oh,
yeah, that ending
back.
was so damn good. And I think if Zombie had a few hits, or i.e. good movies after
he wouldn't have went back.
He probably wouldn't have messed with.
I agree with you 100%. I think that he was in a place where his last 2 films had not done very well. And he was like, well, everyone loves my Devil's Rejects and my House of a Thousand Corpses movies.
Let's go to the well one more time.
Yeah, let's go to the well one more time. And it was, unfortunately, pretty dry.
Yeah. I still haven't seen
some people love it.
I still haven't seen it.
And it's great that there are some people that enjoy it, but I personally don't care for it.
Yeah.
I think that, with this ending is ambiguous. And I think that with this one, he had he threw a lot of stuff at the wall. It's and certain things stuck for certain people, and certain things didn't stick for other people. Like the talking thing for me worked.
Yep.
Because I think it made sense to the Michael Myers that he had created in the first movie. And so I felt like the rage building up inside of him and the anger that was in the opening to the end, he just got angrier and more brutal. And Loomis was kind of that final thing.
Yeah,
Loomis
like where do you go with those two
where,
characters from here?
Yeah. And it was like I feel like in that last moment he was so enraged with Loomis, and Loomis was the one always trying to constantly get him to talk, that he finally was like, fine, I'll talk, and all I have to say is fucking die. Yeah, I love that. I love that it's like his final words. You want me to talk? Fine, here you go, and now you're dead. So it makes sense, but I know I'm in a very small camp on that one. Yeah. I know I'm like one of the very few people that actually does like the talking. But outside of that, yeah, we're also in the minority on the like for this movie. But
yeah, we are.
I'm fine with that. I implore people to give this another watch and disconnect yourself from John Carpenter's vision.
Yep, that's what I always say. And
just try to do that.
Just to answer Andrew, if you scroll up, no, thank God they never, ever, ever put Michael in space. That would have been a horrible mistake.
If they had ever done that.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to talk for a minute about Halloween Kills? Like, are you excited, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah. As far as Halloween Kills goes, I have my issues with the second movie, the 11th movie, whatever you want to call this.
Yeah.
I have my issues with it. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're Halloween fans, and it's kind of like, if you take in something like The Last Jedi or something, where people are like, I hate this movie, I'm boycotting the franchise, I'm done with it. And then, pre-sale tickets come out and they're breaking records. And you're like, because at your heart, at your core, you're a fan of the franchise, and you're like, all right, one more try.
Like, I'm shocked, actually, because, I'm this massive Halloween fan, never dared expect the last movie to open at almost 80 million. Grossing more than any other Halloween movie in their entire theatrical run in the first weekend.
I think why that works so well is because we're in an era of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Nostalgia is heavy right now, and people are playing it like a fiddle. It will eventually run its course, and people will start to get sick of it. But nostalgia is such a big proponent of film right now and television that bringing back these popular franchises and attaching names like, because I thought Jamie Lee Curtis coming back was story-wise a mistake.
Yeah.
But box office-wise,
a no-brainer.
A good decision. Yeah. So you bring back the original cast, you bring back Laurie, you bring back John Carpenter in any capacity, and when you can get him to do the score and you can attach it to, you know, Blumhouse, which has put out a lot of extremely financially successful movies, like them or not.
Yeah.
You're going to get not only the fan base, but you're going to get other people who are excited because they don't fucking know how many movies were in there. They don't know anything about Halloween 6. Shit, if you listen to the interview with Paul Rudd recently, where they were asked him what his first movie was, he was like, "Oh, I was in The Curse of Michael Myers." And they were like, "Which one was that?" And he was like, "I don't know. I think it was like the 5th or 6th or..." He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. And he was in the fucking movie. Like, the majority of audiences, they don't pay attention to stuff like that. So they see the first movie and then maybe the second movie, and then pretty much almost anything from there, they're like, I don't even know. So for them to disregard everything but the first one wasn't asking much. So I think when they saw the trailer, they were like, oh, they're bringing this back.
Yeah.
To them, a lot of these people were like, did they ever even make another?
Yeah, 90% of the
like,
audience are not going to understand the continuity, and 90% of the audience aren't going to give a shit, you know?
No, they don't care at all.
It's a slasher movie. And
So
long as you put the pieces together for them, preferably in the trailer, like you said, they'll be, oh, Laurie Strode's back. Michael Myers is back. Cool, let's see where this goes, you know?
Yeah.
So
one thing I would like to see in Halloween Kills that I think that they didn't capitalize on, even though they kind of did it for a second, and I was like, oh man, this could be one of the best sequences in Halloween history in the franchise, is that long one take of him walking, getting the hammer, going in and killing the Mrs. Elrod, coming around, sweeping through the houses, killing that girl through the throat. If they would have done that all in one actual take, it would have been amazing. Imagine him, because that harkens back to the original film where he said, or his second movie, where I think it's the first one. Yeah, the first one. When
I think
he
it's
says,
the second movie, right?
You're telling me they're lined up for a slaughterhouse.
Yeah,
it's just going to go one house to the next and to the next. And I love that moment where he literally does that. And when they say it, if you listen to the radio, they call it Meridian Avenue, which is the street that the actual house is on.
Now I believe that was one take, actually. If you watch
because it cuts when he picks up the hammer.
Does it? Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
It does. Now, I was recently, Dave McCray, he was on my HUMDRUM Kills, and he stated that they shot that scene 11 times. That quote-unquote one-take shot, they shot it 11 times. Which,
if they could have done it all in one take, which they did it in 2 takes. If they could have, I don't know why they couldn't blend that hammer scene together.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it, because I thought it was one take, but maybe you're right. Maybe there is a cut there.
100%. It cuts at the hammer.
Okay.
When he picks up the hammer, then it cuts to outside the shack, and then he walks
you're right.
out.
Yeah, because it's in the window. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. And you see the shape walking towards.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's half. If for a television series like Netflix, if they can pull off that, like, what was it? 18-minute something in the did you watch Daredevil season 3?
Yeah.
Where they did the prison
they did another
fight?
one take?
That was the most insane thing I've ever seen, dude. Because that really was one take.
Yeah, it's a shame that they canceled that
they were
show.
They were throwing the actor in and a stunt double out, and they were like rotating them so that the stunt double could do the action, and then like the actor could move in. And they had to like do the camera. It's incredible.
Because if one person like messes up, you got to start over. You know?
Oh my God! Could you imagine? Could you imagine being that person?
Yeah.
That fucked it up for everybody. Sorry, everybody.
One last question for you.
I'm
Laurie Strode. Do we want her to die in the middle, or do we want her to die in Halloween Kills?
Yes, and the reason is because the problem with the first movie for me, or the first movie in this now new trilogy, is that the writers constantly had to address how to get Michael and Laurie to meet up for a final climatic battle, but also taking away that easy go-to of brother and sister. So it's like, why would Michael even give a shit?
Yeah.
Why would Michael ever even get to her? And and then it was just convenience after convenience. Like, it just so happens that Michael runs into her granddaughter on the street, not even knowing it's her. It's like, come on, man, you're pushing a little bit here. So getting her out of the way, because what I personally wanted from this new film was completely new characters, not having to deal with how do we inject Laurie Strode into this? How do we include her? How do we bring her granddaughter? How do we bring her daughter? So putting more of a focus on that, because man, there's some really cool setups, but there's no capitalization on them. Like when he's chasing her through the streets.
Yep. And the Shea Punch Allison is playing.
Amazing. Yeah, it's like that's the best score moment in the movie, and it amounts to nothing. And it's like,
when you hear that music, you're like, let's go.
And you think he's gonna go through house after house, following her, killing people. Like,
oh yeah, it could have been chaos. It could have been just like chaos all over the place. She could have been, fighting for her life, blood everywhere. Nothing.
And then he's just randomly in her best friend's babysitting house's closet.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
Which is sad too, because that scene should have been amazing. A, they shouldn't have shown it in the trailer.
They blew it in the trailer.
It's like it's like the tension was sucked right out of the scene when the little kid starts making jokes. I don't know. There should have been a payoff there. And when she went and opened that door, immediately they cut to a joke. The kid makes a joke, and you're like, "Oh my God, you just killed! This could have been amazing."
Deflates the tension.
And there's a kill in the scene, So
yeah,
it's
for sure. It definitely deflates the tension, and it's weird because it's one of those things where it's like, did I think the kid's performance and the joke was funny? Yes, I actually laughed.
Mm-hmm.
But that was almost the problem.
Yep.
It was like, I shouldn't be laughing here. It is a funny joke.
It's a lesson that it should have been two different scenes. Here's my laughing scene, and then here's my scene where it's just really, really serious. You don't know what's behind that closet. No jokes.
Yeah.
And then, boom, open up the closet and fucking blood, knife in the freaking chest. I mean, just something,
And there was the fear that everyone had with Danny McBride being the writer.
Yep.
There was going to be too much comedy, and in that moment, that was a bad placement of comedy.
Yep. That could have been your best kill scene in the whole movie, and they made it your least effective. Almost.
Your best kill scene in the movie should have been when he was chasing the granddaughter.
Yeah.
And then he would have went on a rampage in the street and killed everyone who got in his way.
Think about it. They had a chance, like the bathroom kill. Oh my God. Amazing. One of my favorite kills in the franchise, if I'm being honest. So you had that kill, you had the closet kill, you had the Allison chase, and then you had Laurie at the end. This was lined up to be one of the best movies if they nailed every one of those sequences alone.
Yeah. So it gives me hope that they'll learn from their mistakes in the next movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
and
think
you know what? Thinking back to like Halloween 4 was proof that you didn't need Laurie Strode. We could have fresh characters, a fresh start. And to me, Halloween 4 is arguably, it's my second favorite movie out of the franchise. And it's probably one that I watched the most out of the franchise. Just because of that relationship between Rachel and Jamie. And, the atmosphere in that movie. It just nails so many things perfectly. And it doesn't have Laurie Strode.
No film in the Halloween franchise, to me, feels more like the holiday of Halloween than Halloween 4.
Yeah. Yeah, it starts off immediately with this just sense of dread, and there's not a line spoken. All you see is a field with, like, fog, and you just have this eerie feeling of, like, dread. Like, shit's about to, this is not going to be a good night.
That's why I have such an issue with Halloween 5 is because of the absolute freaking like slap in the face to the fans of killing Rachel like they did.
They should have taken their time and got it right.
So yeah, Halloween kills and Halloween ends. Of course, man, I'm a Halloween fan. I I'm hoping for the best, and I'm hoping we live in an era now where the internet can be used as a tool for filmmakers. You don't want to rely on it too heavily, and you don't want to let that impede on your artistic vision.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to outright ignore what's right there in your face, that all of the fans are telling you, we didn't like this. It's essentially what you have now with the internet, as toxic as it can be. You have a much wider platform that essentially acts like a test screening for a sequel. Like, where you make a movie and then everyone's like, they give their opinions, and then everything kind of becomes very obvious what beats worked for the general and what didn't.
Yeah.
Like the Sartan thing, most of us hated it. So they think, okay, that was a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. Let's not make that mistake again. Okay, nobody likes the comedy that was in between these beats. Let's take that out of this one. If they're listening, and I do think they do, because look at Blumhouse with something like, I remember when Jason Blum was being interviewed about Ouija Origin of Evil.
Yeah.
And he was saying, listen, like, and Annabelle Creation as well. He was talking about how, listen, we listened to you. We saw what you wanted. We listened to your complaints of the first movie, because Ouija was panned.
Right.
Annabelle was panned. And then both the sequels were
good.
Far superior.
Better.
And it's because not only did they hire much better directors, but they also listened to the complaints of the audience and went, okay, we need to get a real director. We need to take this in the direction these guys want. And I think the internet really helped it in a lot of ways in that way. Sometimes the internet can do the exact opposite, but I'm hoping, because of Blumhouse and Jason Blum and how he handled the Annabelle franchise, how he handled the Ouija franchise, how he's handled certain properties in the sequels thereafter, I'm hoping that will be the lesson learned, and we'll get the sequel we wanted out of this one, and that will kind of just be the testing ground movie. And then these two will then be awesome, and we'll be like, the first one's actually better now because of these.
Yeah.
Because you can do that. You can have that movie that comes in and actually erases problems you had in the other one, because they addressed it in such a way you're like, I kind of like that sequence now that I've seen it fleshed out here. Because Sartan wasn't fleshed out at all. I remember
that's a big issue for me too, because I really liked the character of Sartain. And then up to a point, and then when he puts the mask on, which I kind of understand why he put the mask on, because they had built how crazy he was and how he wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone. I guess just aesthetically, visually, it didn't play out right. It played out like, what the fuck? So it just kind of threw things for a twist. But just also bouncing off what you said earlier about giving the audience what they want, it's kind of a double-edged sword too, because if you give them exactly what they want, then when they go to see the movie, hey, they gave me what I want. Okay, I think you got to find that fine line where you give them what they want, but you also surprise them. I didn't see that coming, but damn, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So,
do you think we'll see Sartan in this movie?
I think, and I'm not against it, I would like to see a flashback with Sartan.
Yeah.
If it fits into the story really well, because I did like who Sartain was supposed to be. I liked him as a character. So, yeah, I'd definitely be for a nice flashback scene with him just trying to reach Myers in some way. They got right who Myers was as a character in the beginning. I felt that chill going down my spine when Aaron is walking towards him with that mask. And I'm like, wow, this is something in the Halloween franchise that I haven't felt since Halloween 4. The mystery of Myers. This is a guy that is so dangerous, so lethal, that if you step across this yellow line, you could be completely fucked. I hadn't felt that about Myers in a long time.
Do you think, this is how I feel about it, but I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think, because I think the mistake of Sartain in this film is that in Halloween 2018, if they knew this was a planned trilogy and they had that in mind beforehand as writing it, don't you think they could have built up to that and surprised you in the second, like end of the second, Sartain ends up being the character that he is. Because build him up as a character.
Yep.
Make him start to be likable. Make him, maybe a friend to Laurie. Maybe like where it goes, and then he does that heel turn.
That's another problem. Like this is a
Deeper
character
into
that
the
had
trilogy.
so much potential, and then we're just going to stomp on his head like 2/3 through the movie. You know,
Exactly.
he had the
Would it
potential
have-
to be a really memorable character, and if, like you said, if they followed through and kept him in the second movie, and then reveal in the first movie that he is kind of obsessed with the killing side of Myers, and then have him act on it in a different way in the second movie, I think that could have been a nice little arc there.
Yeah, because I think that this movie was written purely for one film, right? That was their intention originally. They had no intentions outside of a successful box office. We'll leave it open-ended, possibly.
They had an idea for a sequel, if I remember correctly. I know they had an idea, but they were treating it like, hey, let's just one movie, let's see how this does. But if it does well, I got an idea. I think that's the way it played out.
So yeah, I think we're kind of in agreement here that I think it's risky, but at the same time, I think that if you were gonna pull off the Sartain thing, it should have happened in the second film, if not the third. I think the third may have been too late, where people would be like, "Okay, what?
Yeah,
no." But think of it as if you think of a trilogy as maybe a season or a show, like where you're doing the whole arc.
Yeah.
Would Sartain's character have landed better in the second film or the third film as the heel turn, kills the sheriff kind of moment after we had gotten to know him so much better? And it would have been, because I'm going to tell you this, in the theater, when it happened, I couldn't even remember who he was.
No shit.
I was like, wait, who's this guy again? And then I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then I'm like, oh, that's that doctor in the opening. That's right. Like, I almost completely forgot about him because there's no focus on him for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, they definitely
He's not in the
had
movie at all.
quite a gap there. Here's what Sartain represents, and because I see so many people in the chat saying "fuck Sartain," I'm glad they killed him. I get that too. For me,
I get that 100%.
Sartain represented like that Thorn side of things, and that's an ugly word to a lot of people. A lot of people don't like that whole Thorn thing. I came
Right.
into the franchise,
He's win.
and I was a big fan of the Thorn angle. They didn't follow through with it correctly, but I was interested in what Thorn represented. So I kind of connected that with Sartain, and I was like, ooh, this is a little bit of that like mystery, and they could attach that to this character, and where could it go? So I think, but like I said, I'm one of the few guys that loves the Thorn trilogy for what it is.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of 6. I'm a big fan of 4.
6.
Yeah, and I have my issues. Are you a producer's cut or a theater cut guy?
Well, if I'm being honest, I actually made my own cut of it.
Made your own cut.
Yeah, I did,
I know.
which a lot of people do, but I combined like the best aspects of both cuts. I like the theatrical ending. If I had to pick a cut, though, definitely theatrical.
Yeah, me too. Me too. If the first 2/3 producers,
You
the
don't
last
control
third,
Myers. That's my biggest
theatrical.
problem with the producer's cut, and you don't have Myers rape his niece. Which
No.
So I think the theatrical cut corrected a lot of those issues. It's definitely not a perfect cut. There's a lot of like open-ended questions in that cut of the movie, but overall, man, it's balls to the wall. That's what I like about Halloween 6. It's freaking chaos. It's crazy.
So here's some questions for Halloween kills.
Okay.
Number 1, how does Michael get out of the basement?
They're gonna go the easy route. He's gonna get out through like a window or something like that.
There's no way there's a window. If there's a fucking window in there, I will leave the theater.
No,
I'm telling
don't
you
leave
that
the theater.
Right. I will make.
I think there's
I
like,
will
if you
leave
look at
the
the
theater.
scene
There's
too,
no-
there is like a ray of light or something like that coming in.
She built that room.
Yeah, she's
specifically
stupid
for
if
that
she did
trap.
put a window in there, but
There's no way there's a window.
Yeah.
There's no way there's a window.
it defeats the
I'm
purpose
gonna-
of the fortress.
I'm going to say, oh Jesus Christ! I legit, I almost wonder if they won't even address it. Do you think they'll show it?
Yeah, I don't.
Do you
Yeah, I think they might not even address. I think what'll happen is we'll see the aftermath of it. There'll be all this rubble, and then
No bodies.
Myers won't be there. I think that might be the way they go with it, and that way, it leaves the answer to that question up to interpretation, and it gets them out of hot water.
What are people saying?
Let's see. He punches through a damaged footboard.
I thought something like that.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, he's
through
strong
the
enough.
floor some way, I guess. Yeah.
Metal burns, I guess, in the basement. But then you'll get a loose change documentary.
He's missing 2 fingers in this now. Do you think that Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends will take place the same night, or will it be years later? How long later?
I think it's gonna be 2 things, and that sounds like an easy answer, but listen to me. I think it's either gonna be the same night, or they're gonna pull an end game and they're gonna make it like 5 years later.
5 years later,
yeah, something like that. I'm hoping it's the same night. I really am, and I know Jamie Lee Curtis has stated that Kills is gonna be more about the aftermath, and Ends is gonna be just completely, bloody chaos. Which is kind of ironic because Kills, the title suggests that it would be more violent, but yeah, who knows?
How do you like those titles?
I like them. I actually did. I was surprised when I first heard Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. Like immediately it connected. I was like, oh yes, I like this. I'm glad they're not going with Halloween 2 or Halloween 3.
Oh my God, I would have fucking rioted.
Oh yeah, if they called it Halloween 2 and 3, that would have been stupid. Even though we would have finally gotten an actual Halloween 3 with Myers in it, still, no way. I'm glad they gave it, the subtitles. So. Oh
my God, I would have freaked. No, yeah, for sure. Because how many Halloween 2s do we have? How many Halloweens do we have? How many Halloween 3s? So yeah, I would. So now, from a box office perspective, is it financially okay to kill Laurie Strode off in the second movie?
I think so. Only if they end it in a way that you just have to know what happens next. That's where they got to be careful. If they end it in a note where you're like, okay, Laurie's dead, I'm done, then they're going to be in trouble. So they might play it safe and keep her alive. But then you got guys like me who are like, fuck that, please kill her in this next movie. So I don't know. It could go either way.
I think it would be interesting to have the opening of Halloween Kills that same night and Michael killing Laurie. And then it flashing a year later.
Well, who was it? Somebody said in our last stream they should kill Lindsay Wallace in the opening of the movie. She should have the Drew Barrymore opening of the movie.
Okay.
Which I'm for. Okay. That would be kind of cool, actually.
Do you think Lindsay and Tommy are a couple?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like realistically that would bring them together.
It would.
And they would be like, they'd be connected for life, and it's a very small town and they're a boy and a girl. I mean, it would make sense they would be together, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm against it or I'm for it. I'm just like thinking of it logically, because if you remember in part 4, Rachel's friend is Lindsay Wallace. They just didn't go down that route. And Brady's friend is Tommy. And so I'm, Wade, the other guy there standing with them, and with Wade is supposed to be Tommy Doyle. And they never really capitalized on that. But in this one, they're bringing him back. What role will they play? Like, that's interesting to know they're in the mix. Where does that go story-wise? Like, why are they in it? Are they in it because they're going to play some significant role? Are they going to be in it because there's going to be because they went the podcasting route in the first one.
Yeah.
Will this be national coverage? And if so, will they be interviewing survivors of the first event, which would be Tommy and Lindsay?
I think this would definitely be national coverage. If something happened 40 years ago and then the guy escapes, goes after the same girl, and I think that's how Lindsay and Tommy would come out of hide, or not really hiding, but I think that's how we would be introduced to them. just because of course they would be like, oh my God, I can't believe it's happening again, and it's happening 40 years later. This is insane. So, yeah, I think they would come out. I don't know if they'd seek out Laurie, but I think Laurie's going to go to the hospital, though, so who knows?
Well, I guess what I would think on this is that they brought, now the original guy who played Tommy, they didn't bring back. They got Anthony Michael Hall here.
Yeah.
Who is a seasoned actor. He's been working forever. He still acts up till this day. Now, Kyle Richards, she has acted the whole time, and Tommy hasn't. So they want someone who can act, which suggests to me that they're going to have a bigger role. If they're getting actors, like actual seasoned actors to play the role, if it was a bit part, if it was just an interview on TV, why not get the original actor?
Yeah.
Just for continuity. Like, I feel like bringing in someone like him, they're going to have a role.
Yeah,
they're
he's going to have a big part.
Yeah.
And I do think it would be interesting
effect?
if they kill her off first, like in the first 10, 15 minutes. That could be interesting. So, how Myers gets to her, though, I don't know. That could be strange.
I mean, it's not much of a stretch when you're considering the last movie, what we just talked about. I mean, it's so convenient in the first movie, might as well be Lindsay, but I don't think that's how they're going to get, because let's say Michael breaks out, because okay, I haven't seen 2018 in a while. Yeah. At the end of 2018, do they get in the car in the ambulance and actually leave? Do we see them leave the premises?
Yeah, they get in the truck. They get in the back of the truck, and then the camera pans down from Allison's head to her holding the knife. So,
okay, but they are driving away.
Yeah, they're driving away for sure.
Sartain's dead. Laurie's going off. There's firefighters there. I could see a firefighter accidentally freeing him. Because it's not up to Laurie to not put out a fire. Like, realistically, they would have to try to put out that fire instantly, as fast as they possibly could. So I could see them putting it out before. I mean, realistically, Michael would have died of freaking carbon.
But maybe he finds like a cubby hole or something like that and hides in there until they put the fire out. And then as soon as the fire's out, boom, he's out of there.
Sartain, he stitched in a breathing apparatus under the mask. And the mask acts as a freaking air filter. There you go, man. You're not thinking. We're not thinking. He's breathing through a mask that's going to hold out some of the smoke. Yeah, how he's going to break out, I'm really curious about that. Where Laurie's going. I'm excited. I'm
excited too. Dude, this has been so fun, man. I really appreciate you jumping in and helping me on this this commentary. You brought forth a lot of great ideas too, which is awesome.
Thanks, man.
So
thanks. It's fun. For anyone who's watching this and who's stuck with this is the first time Lee and I have ever talked one-on-one.
Yeah, it is. And man, I tell you, we just freaking, I don't know, we flowed like so perfectly. So, which I figured we would too, because I've watched a lot of your reviews, and you're the type of reviewer, man. You're just so comfortable. So I knew bringing you on here, you would just sink right in and you'd start, and to the people that don't know Sinister Cinema Reviews, most of you do, but if you don't know Jason's channel, definitely check it out, man. I tell you, he is one of the best horror reviewers I've ever seen. And I'm not sugarcoating him. I'm telling you, he knows horror. He's probably seen 3 times the horror movies that I have. So you've sseen a lot of horror movies.
I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of movies, period.
Yeah. He's a movie lover, like me. We love. You like Star Wars too, right? You're a big Star Wars guy. Exactly.
Yeah, you can we never really get to see this side of my house. But it's all Star Wars shit and whatever. Anyway. Yeah. So I like Star Wars.
This will be the. I think this will be the first of many to come, though. Streams with us. So.
Hell yeah. Let's do it again for sure. I don't know how people liked it. We'll see some feedback in the comments. You don't ever have this monotone prick back.
I got one question. He says, Lee, one quick question. Favorite band you loved in 1989?
We should take a couple questions. That'd be fun.
89. I was a Kiss fanatic for a while there, but it was after 89. So I'm trying to think who I loved in 89. God, because I was a big I liked new wave and I liked hair metal. Those are my 2 big things. Metal, period. So God, 89. I don't want to embarrass myself, but I really liked like Enough's Enough, which is a band that, you know, they're like a B-level type band. I was really into their style of music, very melodic. Shotgun Messiah. Yeah, Shotgun Messiah was like one of my favorite bands back then. I still listen to them. What's your answer to that, Jason?
What is the question?
Favorite band
in
you liked in 1989?
I was 7. So I don't know what I was listening to at 7 years old, but it was probably my
you were
mom's
7
music. I was a kid. I was very, very young. I grew up in the punk rock metal scene, so anything in that. I grew up in Huntington Beach, California, so Nitro Records was real big at that time when I was in high school in 1996. You know, the Offspring, the Vandals, those kinds of bands, AFI.
Yeah, I like those bands. I like all different types of music, especially rock. I'm actually a big Michael Jackson fan. Somebody mentioned Van Halen, Metallica. I saw Metallica and Guns N' Roses in concert in '92. So that, I mean, I saw Metallica like at the freaking height of their hey, there's Jason's daughter.
Say hi to everybody.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, I got another one.
Uh-oh.
Jesus Christ. All right, so they're trying to come and make appearances now.
2 of
they're
them.
never
There you
really,
go.
they're never really
Hello.
by anybody, but anyway. So that's Lee.
Yeah.
Say hi to Lee.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
He's who stole your daddy. We're finishing up. We're done. So I'll be up in
anyway, guys, Jason, you might want to just type something in the chat too, and that way they can click right over to your channel and they can subscribe if you want. Do that. But yeah, and I always like to ask any guests that I have what they got on their plate, and I know you already probably have a lot on your plate coming up. What's like your next vids coming up?
Jesus. Well, I do usually like 2 or 3 videos a day, so I do a lot. I did like 5 yesterday. You got to check out my Halloween videos, man. I made 2 of them. There was like my top biggest goofs, my top 10 biggest goofs.
Yeah, I saw it on my, because I have you in my subscriptions, and I was like, oh, that's going to be an interesting one. So yeah, I got some stuff on my watch list.
I gave you a shout out in those. So
cool.
So
cool. Thank you.
Yeah, look for that. But yeah, okay. So next, because I have a lot of patron requests. So one guy he did I Spit on Your Grave franchise, which I'm really not looking forward to. Deja Vu.
Yeah, I've heard
2.5 hours long, and it has a 2.7 on IMDb.
Yeah, good night. And it's a direct sequel to the first movie.
Yeah, it's a direct sequel to the first one, and I was looking forward to it until I saw the absolutely abysmal reviews, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if it wasn't 2.5 hours, I would have saw it by now.
Yeah.
But the 2.5 hour runtime with a 2.7, I don't usually care what IMDb says. But when it dips under 4,
then you got an issue.
Especially when it dips under 3, like under 3 is no. Under 3 is an absolute. I'm not watching this movie. It's not happening. There's no way this is good. But yeah, so I'm doing the I Spit on Your Grave franchise. I was also another patron request for an anime horror movie called Perfect Blue.
My son would probably watch that because he's a big anime fan. So.
Never seen it, never been an anime fan, and I think anime fans are the worst. They're such entitled, freaking whiny. Oh, they're the worst, man. But I'm looking forward to that. I've never seen it. I've never been an anime person, but I'm definitely down to check it out.
Yeah. One thing about you is you like to dabble. I noticed that. You like to, expand your horizons. So.
Abso-freaking-lutely, man. I don't think I'm too good for anything. And yeah, if anybody else has got any other questions, I'm definitely down to answer a couple more before we go. I don't know what else anybody's saying, but
somebody says I recommend the movie Pieces. God, I love Pieces.
I love it. I reviewed it for Slasher Sunday.
Yeah, I've reviewed that one too. Man, that is.
Oh, have you? I gotta watch your review.
Yeah, you gotta watch my review. That's a good movie, man. I freaking love that movie.
Bastard!
Yeah, somebody mentioned the Funhouse too. Another great one, Toby Hooper.
Yeah, I reviewed that for Slasher Sunday as well.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I gotta get to bed.
All right, man.
It's freaking almost. It's like 11:37.
I was gonna say it's late there. It's only 8:30.
I gotta go to work in the morning. But anyway, guys, hey, thanks for stopping by. And thank you, Jason, for joining me. More to come with the two of us. And yeah, hope you guys have a great night. And Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I'm a fan. Say goodbye, Jason.
Hey, peace, brother.